Our next broadcast premiered in 1935. The program struggled in the ratings until 1940 when it became a national sensation. Within 3 years, it was the top-rated program in America. Few radio shows were more beloved, and few play as well half a century later. It was the brainchild of real-life married couple Jim and Marion Jordan and was broadcast to the nation from WMAQ Chicago. The show entertained America until March of 1956 and continued on NBC's Monitor until 1959. We invite you to join us at 79 Wistful Vista with Fibber McGee and Molly right here on HOJO Radio.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. Makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Fibber McGee and Molly, written by Don Quinn, with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with I Struck a Match on the Moon. Well, imagine it being April the 1st. Man, it's an awful temptation for all of us to play April Fool tricks on our friends. But you know, there's one thing I just couldn't fool you about. Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat gives such honest, commendable service to so many of you women in saving you work and saving your floors from wear that it's practically foolproof. I suppose in a year's time, Glow Coat saves you as many hours of work as anything you ever used in your home. That's because Glow Coat, the modern floor polish, doesn't need any rubbing or buffing. You simply apply and let dry. And in 20 minutes, Glow Coat has protected your linoleum floors with a gleaming, long-lasting polish that is a delight to the eye. And there's no fooling about that protection either, because Glow Coat really makes your linoleum last much longer and keeps its colors fresh and bright. At the same time, it saves you work. If you're not using Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coats on your floors, try some this week. Some women are better drivers than some men, but some men don't think so, including the squire of 79 Wistful Vista. And his convictions would appear to be supported, as we find driving home from a shopping trip with Mrs. Uppington as passenger and the left rear fender missing, Molly of Fibber McGee and Molly.
Well, here we are, Abigail. Home again, safe and sound. Won't you come in and have a slug of hot tea?
No, thank you, my dear. I must run down to the beauty parlor and have my hair touched up a bit.
Oh, nonsense. I was just noticing this morning as we started out that you didn't have a gray hair in your head.
That was this morning.
Now, Abigail, you don't mean my driving made you nervous. Heavenly days, you talk just like McGee.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's absolutely forbidden me to take the car out alone unless he was with me. But I guess this will show him I can drive. It was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, delightful experience, my dear. All those people honking and swearing at us. Oh, so exciting. Well, thank you for the lift, Mrs. McGee.
No, not at all, Abigail, and I was very glad to... Why, what's the matter?
Mrs. McGee, may I ask a rather personal question?
I'd certainly go right ahead.
How many fenders did you have in this car when we started out?
Well, 4, I think. One in each corner. Why?
Look, one seems to be missing from the left rear.
What? Well, heavenly days, I've been robbed. Oh, dear.
I imagine that happened when we scraped against that truck at 14th and Oak, don't you?
Yes, and I'll have the law on him. That's what I'll do, such carelessness.
Oh, but Mrs. McGee, the truck was parked. The driver wasn't even in it.
Why, that makes it worse, Abigail, leaving the scene of an accident. Oh, my goodness, what will McGee say? Now he never will let me drive again.
Indeed, he knows.
Oh, I'll have to tell him, Abigail. I never keep anything from him. We never have any secrets from each other.
Really? How horrible.
Oh, dear, why did this have to happen to me? And I did so want to show him I could really drive.
It would seem that his opinion of women drivers was about to hit a new low, my dear. But after all...
Oh, girls. Lovely day, isn't it? Been doing your Easter shop? Well, I see you lost the pendant.
Yes, and Mrs. Uppington says I shouldn't tell McGee about it.
Well, why should you? It's none of his business.
Exactly what I was saying. As women, we owe it to the women drivers of America to hush this up.
Well, I don't know now. It seems kind of deceitful of me.
Well, it's just a temporary measure, Mrs. McGee, that's all.
What do you mean by that? The fender's gone, isn't it?
Certainly. But look, you stick the car in the garage quickly. I'll run down to the dealer's. We'll have another fender on there before you can say, oh, my goodness, here he comes.
Now, why should she say that, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Because he is. Hurry up, Mrs. McGee. Get in the car and get it in the garage.
Oh, but don't you think I
hurry,
really
my
should-
dear. Hurry, Throckmorton. You run up the street and see if you can delay Mr. McGee a few minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a little dog and his name was Moke. He didn't have a cent, but he never was broke.
Oh, there, McGee. How's everything with you? Nice day, isn't it? Yes, it certainly is for this time of the year.
Yes, it's nice.
As though we ought to have a lot of nice weather from now on.
Yes,
don't you
I think we ought to.
Except for a little rainy spell now and then, but that's...
Hey, what are you jabbering about, Gildersleeve? Skipping along the street, jabbering about the spring weather? Hey, didn't I see Uppy and Molly out in front of our house?
Who?
Mrs. Uppington and Molly.
Who?
Molly. That's my wife, remember? Well, she lives with me. Next door to you. She's that nice-looking woman.
Oh, for goodness sakes, I know. Yes, you did see her. She and Mrs. Uppington have been shopping. She was, putting the car away. Yes. There they are.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Molly. Hi, Uppy.
Hello, dear.
Have a nice time downtown?
Oh, yes, it was a very pleasant day, Miss McGee, thank you.
All except for one thing, dearie. I had a little
That's a nice-looking necktie you have on there, McGee.
Hey, what's the matter with you two? You're as jumpy as a couple of tiddlywinks. Hey, Molly, give me the keys to the car, will you?
The keys?
To the car?
Yeah, he wants the keys to the car, I guess.
Boy, you kids sure catch on quick.
Say, you're not leaving, are you, McGee?
Yeah, I got to take the car down and get it greased.
I wouldn't do that, McGee. My goodness, the car hasn't cooled off yet.
Well, so what?
Oh, one can't put cold grease on a hot car, Miss McGee. Oh, it would melt and run right off, wouldn't it, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Not only that, but some mechanic is liable to burn his hand on the exhaust pipe and sue you for plenty, McGee. $10,000.
Oh, 20,000.
Oh, dear.
And what if they won the suit and you couldn't pay the damages, huh? You'd go to prison.
Oh.
Think of it, McGee. Spending the rest of your life in Alcatraz.
Oh.
Never again to see the green grass and hear the birds singing.
Oh, sure.
Pining away for a little gaiety and laughter while your hair turned white and your face...
It's all my fault. Oh, McGee, can you ever forgive me?
Oh, take it easy. Take it easy. Don't get a lump in your throat, sugar. I ain't going to jail. There ain't any hurry about getting the car greased if it makes that much difference.
Well, I have a little business downtown, and I'll take care of that little matter for you, Mrs. McGee. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Hey, what little matter? I'll do it, Molly. You don't have to bother Gildy with it.
No bother at all, McGee. She wants me to, well... It's a secret, chum. And are you going to be surprised? Well, come on, Abigail. So long, folks.
So long.
Bye. McGee, dearie, I think I better tell you what this is all about. You see what happened...
Oh, please, Molly, don't tell me. I want to be surprised.
But I really should tell you, McGee. I wanted to all along, but Mr. Gildersleeve and Mrs. Uppington...
And they were right. Shucks, a surprise is a surprise.
But, McGee...
I won't listen. I'll change the subject.
All right, but please remember I did my best to tell you.
Okay, now let's go in and get a bite to eat. What have we got in the icebox?
Well, I think there's a little cold roast fender.
Huh?
I mean, cold roast beef. What am I thinking about?
Yeah.
And some chicken left over from Sunday. Comfortable in that chair, dearie?
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Shucks, I always sit in this chair. You know that.
Let me get your slippers for you.
Oh, no, thanks. I'm okay. I'm just... Hey, what are you doing?
I'm filling your pipe for you, darling.
Okay, but the tobacco don't go through the stem. It goes in the bowl part.
Aren't I the clumsy one, though? There you are, McGee. And here's a match.
Boy, am I getting the service. If I didn't know better, I'd say you had something on your conscience.
Now, look, McGee, about the car.
Oh, say, I forgot to tell you. Guess who I seen downtown yesterday?
Who?
Remember old Dangle Punkley that we used to go to school with?
Not Dangle Punkley.
Yeah, he was forward on the basketball team, remember?
Yeah, he was pretty forward on sleigh rides, too. What's he doing now?
I don't know. He gave me his business card, and I I left it in the glove compartment of the car. I'll run right out.
No, please, McGee, don't do that.
Huh? Why not? Just take me a minute.
No, I don't want you running around like that. You're a busy man, and you need your rest. You can show me the card some other time.
That's okay. I'm going out to the garage anyway.
What for?
Well, that right front tire's carrying too much air. I kicked it this morning and almost busted my toe.
Did you have your bedroom slippers on?
Yeah, I guess I did at that. Well, I better check up anyway. I'll only be gone a minute.
No, now, McGee, please, don't go out and leave me here in this house all alone.
What you mean, leave you alone? You're here alone half the time. Say, what are you...
Hello there, folks. Hey, Fibber, come on out to the garage with me for a minute, will you?
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Now, wait a minute, boys. Wait a minute, please. Now, what do you want to go out the garage for?
Oh, I want to show Fibber how Johnson's car new will make his car look like new again with only...
heavenly days. He knows all about car new. We use it all the time. Sit down and tell me all about Johnson's wax for floors and furniture.
Hey, what is this? You've been hearing about Johnson's wax for floors and furniture for 6 years, the 15th of this month, Molly.
I know it, and I never get tired. Mr. Wilcox tells about it so interestingly.
Gee, do you think so, Molly? Honest?
Oh, I certainly do. Sit down, Mr. Wilcox.
All right.
That's it. Now, tell us all about how Johnson's wax seals the pores of wood surfaces against dust and dirt and dampness, and how it makes housework so much easier and saves so much time.
Oh, but Molly, you know...
Quiet, McGee. Can't you see I'm just fascinated by Mr. Wilcox's story?
You mean about...
I mean about how Johnson's wax is used by discriminating housewives all over the world, Mr. Wilcox, because it beautifies and protects so many nice things.
Well, that's the story, all right.
Oh, tell me some more. Go on.
Now, wait a minute. Don't lead him on, Molly. You know very well if you give him an inch, he'll grab the whole tape measure.
Oh. So you're not interested in Johnson's wax?
I am so.
Well, you don't act like it.
Huh?
I've got a good notion to report you to the company.
Now, there. You see, McGee?
Now, granted, I didn't say anything just because...
Never mind. You've made it pretty clear how you feel about it.
Sure you did.
Well, thank you for listening, Molly. Goodbye.
Now, McGee, McGee. Aren't you ashamed?
Well, gee, I'm kind of confused. All I done was, you've heard all that stuff before, and you know it. How you can sit there with a look of breathless excitement while that big smoothie goes through that rubber stamp routine gets me. You're just putting on an act for some reason.
Oh, so now I'm not sincere, huh?
Look, Mrs. Guffey, I didn't say you wasn't sincere. All I said was that...
Oh, come in. Come in.
Oh, hi, Boomer.
Hello, Mr. Boomer.
Good day, my dear. And good day to you, Lumpy Dumpy and Grumpy.
I see you got your arm in a sling, Boomer. How'd you fracture the flipper? Waving goodbye to Warden Laws?
Not at all, not at all. It was just the result of a childish prank. I tried to hook a ride on an armored bank truck, and a guard brushed me off with a bag of nickels.
Well, now that's too bad, Mr. Boomer. Did it hurt much?
Have you ever had your biceps trampled by 1,000 buffaloes?
Kind of cramps your poker playing style, didn't it, Boomer? I hear you got caught last night with 2 aces up your plaster cast.
That's an outrageous falsehood. It wasn't last night, it was Sunday night.
What are you doing for the arm, Mr. Boomer?
I'm suing the bank that owned the car, that carried the guard, that threw the nickels, that broke my hold, my arm, and a dozen eggs I was taking to a sick actor who hadn't had an audience in 3 years.
Well, I don't like to be unsympathetic, Boomer, but now that we've all had a good cry about your limping lunch hook, maybe you'll explain just why you dropped in here.
Oh, yes. Glad you mentioned it, Del Todd. Just wanted to serve a couple of subpoenas on you.
Subpoenas? What for?
I want you to serve as a character witness in a case that's coming up against me. Seems the district attorney claims they found my fingerprints on a safe after a jewel robbery.
Oh.
Nonsense, of course. Had my gloves on all the time.
Well, give us the papers, Boomer, and shove off.
I can't reach them with a wounded wing, Limberlip. Would you mind going through my pockets for me? You'll find them there someplace.
Why, certainly. Look in his pockets, dearie.
Okay, now let me see. Subpoena. Where'd he put them subpoenas?
I'm here a moment ago.
Here's something. Is this it?
Oh, that's a postcard from Sheila the shoplifter.
Yeah, she says she's been specializing in stockings and handkerchiefs this last week.
Oh.
Had the flu, and the doctor doesn't want her to lift anything heavy.
Here's a small bottle of perfumed hair oil.
Oh, that's for my nephew, Guernsey Boomer. Mm-hmm. The only way I can get some sense into his head.
Say, what's this? This heavy leather thing.
Hey, that's a blackjack.
It certainly is. I ordered some chewing gum by mail, and a careless shipping clerk sent me that instead. Put the blackjack back, Jack.
Okay, and here's a bottle of traveler's checks, or here's a book of traveler's checks made out to a guy named Sweeney.
You're thinking of Uncle Dennis, McGee.
Sweeney?
Who is Sweeney?
I couldn't say. I only met the chap for a minute in the subway.
Well, that's all there is in your pockets, Boomer. And I didn't see any legal papers.
Well, imagine that. No subpoenas. Well, come to think of it, you'd be very bad character witnesses for me anyway.
Why?
You know my character. Well, good day, my dear, and to you a pleasant April, fool.
The King's Men sing Abdul a Bulbul Amir.
The sons of the prophets are hardy and bold and quite unaccustomed to fear. But of all the most reckless of life or of limb was Abdullah Bulbul Amir. When they wanted the man to encourage the van or bring up the troops from the rear, or storm a dugout, they would straightway send out for Abdullah Bulbul Amir. There's heroes of plenty and well known to fame in the ranks that are led by the Tsar. But the bravest, most fearless of name or of fame was Ivan Kovitsky Sklar. He could imitate Irving, play lotto or pool, and play on the Spanish guitar. In fact, quite the cream of the Muscovite team was Ivan Kovitsky Sklar. One morning this Russian, he shouldered his gun, put on a belligerent sneer. Then going to town, he just happened to run into Abdullah Bulbul Amir. Young man, said Abdul, is your life then so dull that you're anxious to end it right here? Or infidel, no, you have caught on the toe of Abdullah Bulbul Amir. Said Ivan, my friend, your remarks in the end will only prove futile, I fear. For I mean to imply that you're going to die, Mr. Abdullah Bulbul Amir. They fought all that night by the moon's yellow light. The babble was heard from afar. Great multitudes came, so great was the fame of Abdul and Ivan Skibar. And here in a tomb by the Danube so clear, beneath the light of the bright star, there lies the brave Abdullah Bulbul Amir at rest beside Ivan Skibar. Somewhere you may bet they are still fighting yet, Abdul and Ivan Skibar.
McGee, there's something I've just got to say.
Okay, tell me when I come back.
Where are you going?
Out to the garage. I left my magazine out there that I was reading.
No.
What's the matter?
I brought it in. It's upstairs in our room.
Oh, thanks.
And I want to compliment you on your improved taste in literature, too.
Huh?
I'm glad you've given up those trashy magazines. And I think it's splendid that a prominent citizen like you should take so much interest in law enforcement.
Law enforcement?
Yes. You'll find your police gazette up on our dresser.
Much obliged. I'll run right up and get it.
Oh, dear, I wish I knew how to break the news to him about that fender. He's so...
Where's McGee?
He's upstairs, Mr. Gildersleeve. Why?
Now, look, you keep McGee out of the garage for a while. I'm going out and put this new fender on for you. You see? Here it is.
Here he comes.
Here I go.
Hey, Molly, did I hear you talking to somebody down here? I thought I heard the horses.
Well, maybe the house is haunted.
Yeah, could be. Ever since Uncle Dennis moved in on us, you can even smell spirits around here. Come in.
Hi, Mr. McGee.
Oh, hi, sis. Well, what you staring at me for?
I guess my papa was wrong, I guess. He said you didn't stand up straight.
Oh, he did he? Well, you can go right home and tell your old man to go plumb.
McGee.
Huh?
That's all right, Miss McGee. Mama tells Papa that, too, every morning.
She does?
Sure she does, I betcha. She hands him his hat and kisses him goodbye and says, all right, now you can go plumb.
Oh, hold it, sis. Then what does your father do?
He goes to somebody's house and plums.
Oh, he's a plumber.
I know it.
Oh, I see. For a minute there, you had me going, sis. I should have known you were too well bred to do...
Too well what?
Bred.
I'm hungry.
Well, anyway, sis, you can run along home and tell your father that I do stand up straight.
All righty.
I don't know what gave him that idea that I didn't in the first place.
I do, I betcha.
Huh? What made him think I didn't stand up straight?
Well, he said he saw you on the street this morning and did you look stupid.
Why, that little freshie. I'll teach her a thing or three.
Oh, what are you going to do?
I'm going to call up her old man. That's what I'm going to do. Give me that phone. Hello, operator. Give me the residence of... Oh, is that you, Mert? How's every little thing, Mert? Is, eh? What's that, Mert? The stork came to your house this morning.
The stork? Oh, how wonderful. Boy or girl, dearie?
They don't know, but they got it tied up, and if it lays an egg, it's a girl. What's that, Mert? Gee, I don't know either. I forgot now. Okay, Mert. Hey, who was I calling anyway?
Oh,
what was I calling?
It doesn't matter anyway. You were just going to...
Hey, what's that?
What's what?
That noise. Sounds like it's out in the garage. You hear anything?
Wait a minute. No, I don't hear a thing.
Must be my blood pressure. You sure you don't hear it? Huh?
No, just the wind.
That's the bumpiest wind I ever heard. Maybe it's somebody out in Gildersleeve's garage. Listen.
Oh, goody, he must have it fixed.
Who's got what fixed?
Whoever was making that noise.
I thought you said it was the wind. I think I'd better go out in the garage and investigate. It might be somebody that might...
Come in.
Oh, there, folks. I just thought I'd stop in.
That ratted Gildersleeve, quit tracking that muck all over our floor.
Muck?
Look at you. Why, you're a mess.
Now, McGee, what if Mr. Gildersleeve is a little smudgy? Maybe he's been working on something.
That's a very shrewd guess, Mrs. McGee. But I'm all finished now.
Oh, that's fine, Mr. Gildersleeve.
So, that was you making all that racket out there, was it? What's the matter? You too cheap to hire a mechanic?
McGee, now that's no way to talk. Here's poor Mr. Gildersleeve, all tired and dirty.
Dirty? I'll say he's dirty. He's crusty. Looks like he found a grease pit with a diving board on it.
Is that so? Now you look here, you little nincompeep.
Nincompoop.
Pip, ha, poof.
Sound like a bunch of firecrackers.
Well, Dad ratted Gildersleeve's got no business coming in here and getting our house all dirty. If he wants to work on his car, let him. Oh, hey, that reminds me, Molly.
Uh-oh.
You drove our car downtown today, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I forgot to ask you, wasn't it kind of embarrassing without that left rear fender?
Oh, my goodness, he knows about it.
McGee, how did you find out about that fender?
What do you mean, how did I find out? I was the first one to know.
You were?
Yeah, I tore it off last night backing out of the garage.
Oh, heavens.
Hey, leave me alone, McGee! I didn't do anything.
I'll kill you!
Fibber and Molly will be back in just a moment. Well, we've been talking about spring these last few weeks, but it's really here now, and time to freshen up that kitchen of yours. You know, it's a lot more fun working around a cheerful kitchen than one that's a little drab and dull. And it's wonderful how much cheer and new life you can add with new curtains, fresh oilcloth, and gay-colored enamels, without spending much money either. Of course, the quickest, most inexpensive way to make a big difference is to treat your linoleum floors to a bright, sparkling Glow Coat polish. Glow Coat brings out the colors of the linoleum, keeps them as bright and fresh as new. It protects the linoleum surface against wear, makes it last much longer. And it does all this with practically no work because Glow Coat is self-polishing, needs no rubbing or buffing. Now, if you're still scrubbing linoleum floors or using less satisfactory polishes, may I suggest that just once you try Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat.
So you thought all the time that you'd knocked that fender off, did you, Molly?
I sure did. And I'm still ashamed of myself for trying to deceive you about it, Judy.
Oh, forget it. I don't tell you everything, too, either. For instance, I never did tell you about...
About what?
Never mind. Now we're even. Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, inviting you to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
Look, George, here come the Browns again in that shabby-looking car of theirs. Wouldn't you think they'd be ashamed to ride around in it?
Isn't it funny how some people can be so neat about their own clothes and yet let their cars get so dingy looking? I guess it's just because they don't know how easy it is to wax polish their car with Johnson's Carnew. Carnew, you know, cleans and wax polishes in one operation, in less than half the time it used to take, and it costs very little. Why not wax polish your car with Johnson's Carnew, spelled C-A-R-N-U. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber, McGee, and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Fibber, McGee, and Molly, written by Don Quinn with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with It's High Time. ask you ladies a very personal question. Along about this time of year, do you begin to get those spring house cleaning blues?
Not I, Mr. Wilcox. Several years ago, you sold me on the idea of keeping house with Johnson's wax. And spring housekeeping just doesn't get me down anymore.
Well, that's great. Do you mind telling everybody what you mean by keeping house with Johnson's wax?
Not at all. It's really very simple. You'd be surprised how many things I wax in my home. My floors, of course, and my furniture, too. But that's not all. I wax my windowsills, Venetian blinds, pantry shelves, radiator covers, my baby's high chair, even his kitty car. And my woodwork and enameled refrigerator. Picture frames, luggage, shoes.
And that's what you mean by keeping house with Johnson's wax?
Yes. The wax protects all these things against wear and dirt. It makes my entire home more beautiful. And cleaning, both the regular kind and the big spring cleaning job, is so much easier. Thanks to you, Mr. Wilcox.
No, thanks to genuine Johnson's wax, if you don't mind. Sold by dealers everywhere, the world round. Besides a chump of himself, there are many things a man can make around the house. One of them is a telescope. And wouldn't you just know that's what the master of 79 Wistful Vista would be working on as we meet Fibber McGee and Molly.
Hot dog, this thing is coming along swell, Molly.
That's nice.
Gonna have it finished almost any time now.
That's fine.
Gonna be a beauty, too.
Of course it is.
Gonna be the best in town.
Oh, good.
You want to use it sometimes?
Well, I don't know, dearie. What is it?
What is it? Why, Molly, you mean to sit there with your lap full of bungalow apron and tell me you don't know what I'm making?
Well, I just didn't want to be nosy, McGee. But it's very pretty, whatever it is.
Well, it's a telescope.
A telescope? Well, now that's very interesting. But if you think I'm going to drag that big thing to the races this summer, or to football games, or the opera...
It ain't to carry. It's for me to use in my astronomy.
In your what?
Astronomy. If you'd take more interest in what your husband does, you'd know what I've been doing all these weeks.
Well, now, whatever you've been doing, you've been simply ruining your eyes.
Huh?
Every morning lately, you've been coming down to breakfast with your eyes all red and watery. Tomorrow, I'm going to take you downtown to see a good optimist.
I don't want to go to an optimist. My eyes are all right. Besides, I've just been working hard.
You've been what?
I've been working hard.
Well, while you're having your eyes looked at, I'll go get my ears examined.
Huh?
I could have sworn you said you'd been working hard.
That's about it, I have been. Every night. Except last night. I sat up most of the night last night and read last night.
Well, now, what'd you do that for, foolish?
I had to. I had a book that I couldn't lay down once I'd started.
Was it that good?
It was terrible. But I was eating taffy at the time and got stuck with it.
Well, now, I don't care. Your eyes need attention, and tomorrow morning we're going downtown and have you examined for glasses. I've been trying to get you to go for 6 months.
Well, I'm finishing this telescope tonight, and from then on, I won't have to strain my eyes. Boy, it's going to be swell to have a nice big new telescope. Here I've been spending hours out there in that backyard every night watching the sky through them old opera glasses.
What are you expecting, Santa Claus?
Don't be ridiculous, Mrs. McGee. I've been checking a certain section of the consternation, and I think, mind you, that I may have discovered a...
Discovered a what?
Well, never mind. I want to do a little blah, 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 blah. I want to do a little more checking up before I make any announcements. The guy said when he stuck his hand in the alphabet soup, I'm groping for words. I wonder who that is.
Maybe it's Venus to complain about peeping Toms. Come in.
Hello, Cupid. Hello, Fisher.
Hi, Nick.
I hope I'm not buttling in where angels are afraid to tread, but I wanted to tell Mrs. McGee what is happening about the chocolate Easter's rabbit she's ordering from my candy kitchen.
Oh, is it ready, Mr. DePopulis?
Frankly, Cupid, yes and no.
Huh?
Yes, it is done, and no, it's no good.
What's the matter with it, Nicholas?
Well, I will try to explain the situation, Puss, in a nut meat. In the first place, which is my candy kitchen at 14th and Oak Street, I'm getting an order for a big chocolate rabbit.
Uh-huh.
So, in order to fill the order, I am getting a big, real, alive rabbit to serve me as a middle while I muddled it. You grab me?
Oh, you mean you got a real live rabbit to work from as a model, huh?
Chris Nasty. But if you think those bunnies is sitting still while I'm making a picture of him in hot chocolate, you have another guess coming, and I'll bet I know what it is, and you're right. No, he wouldn't.
Well, now, that's too bad, Mr. DePopulis, but don't let it get you down. I can do without a chocolate rabbit this year, I guess.
Oh, sure.
Choopy, never let somebody say that Nicholas DePopulis is letting you down, Easy. Because when you order a chocolate rabbit from me, you're getting a chocolate rabbit, even if it looks like a reindeer, and it certainly does. And I'm only charging 40 cents for it. Here, see?
Why, that don't look like a reindeer, Nick. That looks like a water buffalo.
In that case, it'll cost 50 cents. I'm charging more for water buffaloes than I do for reindeer, particularly when they're supposed to be rabbits.
All right, Mr. DePopulis, here's your 50 cents.
Yeah.
Thank you, Choopy. And I hope I will be seeing you both before long. Although if I don't, I guess there won't be any bones broken unless it's my ankle from kicking myself for ever taking an order for a chocolate rabbit.
Nice of you to drop in, Mrs. Uppington. Could I run you up a cup of tea?
Oh, no, thank you, my dear. I just wish to come over and ask you. Well, my goodness, Mr. McGee, what is that?
Huh? This? Oh, this is a new telescope I'm making, Uppy. I took up astronomy, and I didn't want to get caught with my planets down. Don't you get it? I says I didn't want to get caught.
Ain't funny, McGee.
Well, astronomy is a serious business.
Oh, I'm sure it must be. Oh, but tell me now, Mr. McGee, what are you going to wear in the Easter parade Sunday?
Well, now, I haven't quite decided, Abigail. I'm not even sure I'll be in it. For years now, I've been trying to get McGee to get a top hat and a cutaway coat and really dress up on Easter, but...
Why, I used to do that, Molly. Don't you remember? Don't you remember how we used to walk down Adams Street in Peoria on Easter Sunday? Me with my spits and cutaway, and you and your...
Oh, you mean spats and cutaway, Mr. McGee.
I mean spits. I always took the dog along. But don't you remember, Molly, I always...
Oh, yes, I remember, dearie. I remember.
Okay.
Now, suppose you go back to your sky prying and let Abigail and I talk.
Oh, but she wants to see my telescope. Don't you, Uppy?
Personally, I couldn't be induced to use a telescope. I can think of nothing more utterly boring.
Why, certainly. Why should we squint through that thing and crack our makeup?
Okay, girls, okay, but what if you could use this telescope to look into Mrs. Uppington's window right now and see all her new Easter things laying around the room.
What was that? Here, let me take
I do. Now, please, now, don't push.
Abigail, I asked first.
But just the same, I'm your guest. Now, please listen to me. Oh, my, what am I doing? Why, I'm Mrs. Uppington. Well, I've never been so insulted in all my life.
Oh, well, I was just kidding. Just can't you take a joke, Uppy?
I'm not as well as Mrs. McGee.
Meaning what, Abigail?
I was just thinking what a joke you took on your wedding day. Goodbye.
Oh, so I'm a joke, am I?
Yes, but stop me if I've heard you. Now, look, dearie, let's give up this astronomy business for tonight. Your eyes look awfully tired, and I still think you ought to go see a good optimist.
My eyes are all right, and I can prove it.
How?
Well, I ain't sure, but I'll bet I can. Now, let me see. I think if this front lens was closer to the center of the refraction...
I don't know why you always have to take up hobbies that don't pay off, McGee. Can't you get interested in something with a profit?
What you mean, profit? The astronomy business is looking up every day.
That was hardly worth the effort, I'd say.
Well, now, let's see. If I raise the front end of the telescope about 45 degrees, it ought to...
Hi, folks. What are you doing?
Hello, Mr. Wilcox.
I'm building a telescope, Howell.
Yes. He's decided to change his career. He's given up wool gathering in favor of stargazing.
Okay. You're right. If you like, I'll show you. Hey, give me a hand, Wilcox. Help me lift this thing over to the window.
Okay, pal.
Take it easy now, there.
Open the window, Molly, will you?
Which way do you want to point it, Professor?
Which way would any astronomer point a telescope? Up. Ooh, Omaha flag. There we are. She's all set. Now, take a look through it, Harlow, and tell me what you see.
Oh, okay. Oh, boy. What a sight.
Oh, really? What do you see, Mr. Wilcox?
The Big Dipper.
How can you see the Big Dipper when you're looking straight south?
This is the Big Dipper hanging in Mrs. Gildersleeve's kitchen. And there's Mrs. Gildersleeve.
Oh, really? What's she doing?
Let me see. She's putting some Johnson self-polishing glow coat on her kitchen linoleum. Oh. She's got a big smile on her face, too. Oh. Now she's pouring out a few drops of glow coat on the floor. Oh. Now she's spreading it around.
Oh, and to think I built a big new telescope today. It's like asking Fritz Chrysler to fiddle for a barn dance.
Hey, take a look, Molly. Doesn't that linoleum look gorgeous now?
Let me see. Oh, beautiful. But where did Mrs. Gildersleeve go?
Oh, she probably went in the other room to rest or read a magazine. Oh, you see. Now, look. Glow coat dries to a grand glossy polish in 20 minutes or less, without any rubbing or buffing. Well, much obliged for the use of the telescope, Everett.
Oh, that's okay, Wilcox. Anytime you want to point it toward Racine, Wisconsin, to see how your orders are coming in, let me know. Nothing like making science useful.
Say, you've given me a wonderful idea, Mr. Wilcox. I can certainly keep an eye on the neighborhood now.
You're never going to do no such a thing. This telescope ain't made for social snooping. It's made to look for new stars.
Well, in that case, I'll give the sponsor a telescope for Christmas. It'll come in handy when your option is up. So long, kid.
You're going to be embarrassed. Our sponsor has a telescope.
Oh, yes?
What do you mean by that, anyway?
Well, I could never guess, I hope. Now, come on, dearie. Leave that thing alone. I'm worried about you straining your eyes.
Oh, forget my eyes.
I can't. They're so beautiful.
Which one? And quit kidding me. Don't you realize that astronomy is a serious business? Don't you realize... I wonder if the astronomers at Harvard have all this trouble. Come in.
Hi, mister.
Oh, hello. I can't spare any time to talk to you now. I'm busy.
Doing what?
I'm studying astronomy.
What's astronomy?
It's the study of the stars, sis. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Betelgeuse, Sirius.
Is it?
Is it what?
Serious.
Sirius, sis, is the name of a star.
Oh, I don't like the serious stars, I bet you. I like the funny ones like Bob Hope and...
I'm talking about heavenly bodies, sis. like Neptune and Mars and Jupiter, and Ursus Major, Ursus Minor, Orion, and the Milky Way. The Milky Way.
I'm hungry.
You're always hungry. Dad Rabbit, don't they feed you at home?
No.
What? They don't?
No.
Oh.
They just give me the food and I have to feed myself.
Oh. Well, that's tough.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that thing for, Mr. McGee?
What? You sure dry your eyes quick. That's my telescope. Want to take a look through that telescope?
Sure.
Here. Well, wait till I point it at the moon for you. There. Now look through this little aperture here. See?
Oh.
Huh?
Gee, isn't that wonderful, mister?
Yeah, you see the man in the moon?
Is it really a man who is it, mister?
Why, of course it is. Ah, look at her, Molly. I've opened up a whole new world for the little tyke.
I'll bet you that ain't really a man up there, I bet you.
What you mean, sis?
Well, it has always been my understanding that the man on the moon was an optical illusion, wherein the geographic conformations on the lunar surface gave a more or less graphic impression of a human physiognomy.
And
I tell you, mister, if that man on the moon more likely makes you any happier, you have my blessing. So long, Galileo.
The King's Men sing The Reluctant Dragon from the Walt Disney picture of the same name.
One fine day while on my way to Ipswich by the sea, I met a rather charming chap who asked me in to tea. It seems he was a dragon, you know the kind with wings, teeth and tails and claws and scales and all those dragon-like details. I admit I jumped a bit when he began to sing. I'm the reluctant dragon, what ho, quite so, the very reluctant dragon. Oh, Betty, Betty, don't you know, they call me the timid dragon. What rot, I'm not, I just won't fight, I'd rather play. I know I shan't get hurt that way. Here we go gathering nuts in May, I'm so reluctant, oh, so reluctant. After we had sipped our tea, a thought popped in my head. A dragon here? By Jove, that's queer. He really should be dead. I say, look here, I said. Aren't you a bit extinct? He looked at me and gave a cry and wiped a teardrop from his eye. Heaved his bosom with a sigh. Then he coyly winked. I'm the reluctant dragon. That's me. Carefree. I'm the reluctant dragon. Reluctant since 1911 BC. Could be. They call me the timid dragon. What rot, what a lot of rot. I'm not what a lot of rot. When others fight, I run away. I guess that I was born that way. I'm to be queen of the May today. I'm the reluctant dragon. I'm frail and pale. The awful reluctant dragon. Don't step on my tail. They call me the timid dragon. What rot? I'm not. I just won't fight. I'd rather play. I know I shan't get hurt that way. Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May. I'm so reluctant. Yup, 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 yup.
Boy, is this telescope fun. You want to take another look, Molly?
No, thanks, McGee. And you better quit for the night, too. Remember how bad your eyes are getting. A good night's sleep will do you good.
I ain't going to go to bed till I check on a certain part of the sky.
Look, dearie, that certain part of the sky has been there for several million years. It can wait another 12 hours.
Not for me, it can't. I think I'm on the verge of discovering...
Discovering what? Don't be so mysterious.
I'm not being mysterious. I'm just being cautious. Us scientists has got to be careful what we tell the public. Yeah, they're inclined to be a trifle Gulliver.
No, you mean gullible.
Huh?
Gull is in bird and bull is in... McGee, what are you doing?
Just trying to adjust this telescope.
Come in.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Oh, Hello there, folks. Lovely evening, isn't it?
Hi, Gildy.
Yes, it is a nice night, Mr. Gildersleeve. And your kitchen floor looks simply lovely with that fresh application of Johnson's Glow Coat.
Yes, my wife thinks there's absolutely nothing like glow. How did you know she just glow coated the floor?
You can't keep a secret from science, my good man.
What are you talking about? What has science got to do with it?
Well, McGee's studying astronomy, Mr. Gildersleeve. And the telescope just happened to be pointed at your kitchen window, and...
It just happened to be pointed, did it?
Yeah.
Now, look here, McGee. You prying little window peeper. If I ever hear of you peeking into my house again with that silly spyglass, I'll...
Hey, them rings around Saturn sure are pretty tonight.
Are you listening to me, McGee?
Hey, Molly, hand me a pencil and paper, will you? I gotta make some notations.
All right, dearie.
McGee, I'm talking to you.
I know it, and I wish you'd shut up. The trouble with you, Gildersleeve, is that you're here today and here tomorrow. Now, keep quiet. I got work to do. Now, let me see. If Venus comes within 26 million miles of the Earth...
What's the matter, Mr. Gildersleeve? What are you fidgeting about?
Well, Gee, I wish I could look through that thing. Hey, hi, McGee, please. Just one little peek.
No, not now, son. But if you behave yourself... I'll let you look at Halley's Comet next time it comes past.
Gee, thanks, little pal.
When does Halley's Comet come by again, McGee?
1986.
Well, I guess I better sit down, then. This will be quite... What? 1986? No, look here, McGee.
Hot dog, there it is.
What?
Halley's Comet?
No, McGee's Comet. I just discovered a comet myself.
Oh, you had me startled there for a minute.
Yeah, me too. How many comets do you discover per evening, McGee? How much are they a dozen?
Okay, laugh if you wanna. But I tell you, I discovered a new comet. I thought so weeks ago, and that's why I built this brand new big telescope.
Well, what makes you think it's a new one, McGee?
Because it ain't listed on any of the sky charts. That's why. Oh, boy. McGee's Comet. This will make me notorious all over the world.
By George, he really believes.
I believe so.
Why, you poor deluded little squirt.
Huh?
You don't know any more about astronomy than astronomy knows about you. And you could hide that under an eyelash with its feet sticking out.
Go ahead, laugh all you like. I know what I'm doing. Hey, Molly, take a look through here. Now, don't jar the telescope. What do you see?
Heavenly days, this is a powerful telescope.
Ah, you betcha.
Oh, I see an angel.
What?
Oh, no, it's a moth.
Don't you see that little star way down low on the horizon?
The one with the tail on it?
That's it. That's a comet. And I discovered it. That's McGee's Comet.
McGee's Comet. Is that so?
Yes, that's so. Here, Gildersleeve, if you're so skeptical, take a look. There.
But, by George, it is a comet.
Why, sure it's a comet, you big dodo. And it ain't mentioned in any of the books either. It's a new one.
My goodness, Mr. Gildersleeve, do you really think he did?
Mrs. McGee, I think he's done it.
You bet.
Think of it. My little buddy discovering a new comet. I'm going to telephone the newspaper. Give me the phone, McGee. Give me the Bristol Vista Gazette, please. Hello? Gazette? Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve speaking. I have great news for you. We've discovered a new comet in the eastern sky. Under the friendly supervision of his lifelong friend and associate, Mr. Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, I think you have my picture in the file down there. Yes, a new comet was accidentally discovered tonight by a local man. Mr. Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve may be quoted as saying...
Give me that telephone.
No, you don't. Give it to me. Hello, editor. I'm Fibber McGee, 79 Wistful Vista, and I'm the guy that discovered that comet.
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, sir. At exactly 11:56. Extra, get your papers here. New comet found. Read all about McGee's Comet. Extra, get your paper here. Read all about it.
This is the midnight edition of the Wistful Vista News. At a late hour tonight, the report seemed to be confirmed that the new comet discovered by a Mr. Flabber McGraw of 76 Wisteria Vistula is absolutely authentic. The head of the Mount Whitney Observatory, Professor Widdykind, is on his way to consult Mr. McGrew about his discovery. Some skepticism has been expressed in scientific circles because the last comet discovered by an amateur astronomer turned out to be the 936 mail plane to Cincinnati. Is your stomach easily upset? If you wake in the morning with that sluggish feeling, try a bottle of old...
What's the idea barging in our home like this?
Picture, Doc. Stand over there by the telescope. You too, mister.
McGee, I represent the International Association of Astronomers.
Hey, what is this? Quiet, everybody.
Yes, please be quiet while I verify Mr. McGee's discovery.
Who are you, Bud?
I am Professor Hercules Whittaker of Mount Whitney Observatory.
Oh, how do you do, I'm sure.
I'm glad to know you, Herc. Have a chair.
Never mind that. Let me see that telescope.
What's the matter? Won't you take my word for it?
Well, there's some question in academic circles whether or not this is the old Pazuska comet, which was discovered in 1765 and subsequently mislaid.
No, sir. This comet is strictly original. There's no record of it in the books. Here, take a look through that telescope. Well, you see it?
By George, Mr. McGee, I congratulate you. It is a new comet.
Why, of course it is. Did you doubt it?
Frankly, yes.
Huh?
Yes. After all, a new comet is not discovered every day.
Oh, McGee always discovers his at night, don't you, Dilly? Yes, he can see the stars better than he says.
Tell me, Mr. McGee, how do you account for the fact that of all the people in the world, you, a rank amateur with a homemade telescope, discovered this comet?
I had to.
You had to?
Yeah. I had to do something to prove to my wife that I don't need glasses.
Have you noticed how the days are getting longer and longer? Pretty soon, when you sit down to an early dinner, it will seem like the middle of the afternoon. That may be a slight exaggeration, but you know what I mean. And you know, too, how nice it is to have those extra daylight hours for being out of doors, working in the garden, playing with the children, or visiting with your friends. During nice weather, most women appreciate more than ever the time and work-saving advantages of Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat, the modern floor polish. Glow Coat keeps your floors beautiful with practically no work at all. Now take your kitchen linoleum, for example. Pour a little Glow Coat onto the clean linoleum floor, spread it around, and let it dry. Come back in 20 minutes, and you'll find a floor that is sparkling with new beauty. Its color is as bright and fresh as new, protected against wear, and easy to keep spotless. Besides that, Glow Coat actually makes your linoleum last longer. So, if I ask you to try Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat on your floors, you'll pardon my enthusiasm, won't you?
Hot dog, Molly, I'm famous. Fibber McGee, discoverer of the McGee Comet. I told you I'd prove I don't need glasses.
All right. So you proved you don't need glasses.
You
now,
betcha.
come on to bed, dearie.
All right, wait till I put these tools away first. Hand me that pair of pliers there, will you?
What pair of pliers?
That's pliers right there on the table.
That's a hairpin.
Huh? Oh. Like a pair of pliers. Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, inviting you all to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
Hey, you! Pull over to the curb!
What's the matter, officer? I wasn't doing anything, was I?
No, not this time. I was just interested in that car of yours. Looks pretty neat for an old car. What do you use on it?
Oh, that? I use Johnson's Carnew.
Well, I don't have but 2 days off a month, and
but Carnew cleans and wax polishes your car in one operation in half the time it used to take. It's really sensational.
It is, huh? Well, I'll be sure and try some on mine. Hey, you can go now, and much obliged for the tip about Carnew.
You're welcome, officer.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Our next broadcast is a science fiction drama series that was broadcast from April 24th, 1955 to January 9th, 1958 in various time slots on NBC. Known for its high production values and adapting stories from the leading American authors of the era, it has been described as one of the finest offerings of American radio drama and one of the best science fiction series in any form and medium. We present to you X-1 on HOJO Radio.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future. Adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, The Green Hills of Earth. The men who pioneer the trade routes of the world, the sailors of the clipper ships, the whaling men, railroaders, black gangs on the tramp steamers, all have their own stories and song about dangers and struggles of their lives.
This is the story of Riesling, the blind singer of the spaceways. When I first met him, he was hustling drinks in the Twin Moons bar at Dry Waters, Mars. He'd won a guitar off a Chinese barkeep at Luna City by cheating at one thumb. And he made his whiskey by singing in the bar and passing the hat.
Hey, listen to her, Hertzman. Don't you sing pretty? Like a 16-year-old gal.
Hey, Riesling, look over there at the bar. There's an Institute 4-striper giving you the eye. Do you know him?
Manner of speaking. Cold-looking scoundrel, ain't he? Gives the idea he graduated Harriman Space Institute 3 men above St. Peter.
Who is he?
Captain Hicks off the Ghost Show.
Yeah, well, he sure gives you the once-over. Maybe he's got a job.
That don't make never no mind to me. I've been blacklisted. Hicks logged me for making up a song on watch. Right fight song, too.
Oh, the skipper is a father to his crew.
Yeah, well, hold on. Here comes old Brassarm.
Oh, Riesling, I've been looking for you. You've kept your nose clean, and we're going to give you another chance to get back to deep space.
Been a little changing down aft in the Goshawk, ain't you, Skipper?
How'd you know that?
You got that new atomic pile drive.
If there's been a leak at the shops,
now take it easy, Skip. You'll have that gold braid just a-crawling right up your arm.
Quit stalling, Riesling. Take it or leave it. It's a loop trip to Jupiter with the standard release.
I reckon. Double pay when you get back, if you get back. Last 3 of them atomic tea kettles blew somewhere in the asteroids.
If you're scared.
Scared? Well, that Goshawk is one stinking old tub. Her engine's got more bugs than a beagle dog in spring. And her new drive's about as safe as a pretty gal in the Ozarks. But I reckon she'll do for one more trip.
Welcome home, Riesling.
Hi, Jimmy Legs. Meet my friend Hertzman. He can't hold his liquor no more than a sieve, poor boy.
Riesling, you sober enough to sign the book?
Drunk or sober, I make my mark. Stand aside.
3 X's?
Took me a middle name.
Ha, ha, ha. You two lay below. And Hertzman,
yeah?
Get him sobered up before the skipper makes rounds. Cargo stowed, Captain. Fuel lines away and ready.
Good, Casey. Well, what's that?
What it? Oh, that's a guitar, I guess.
If it's that shoeless hillbilly, I'm going to tell him.
Hi, Skipper.
Riesling, what the devil are you doing up here?
That number 2 jet ain't fit. Cadmium dampers are warped. Crooked like a turtle's back.
Well, why tell me? Tell the chief engineer.
I did. He says they'll hold.
Well?
He's wrong.
Oh, he's wrong, eh? He's got a Harriman Institute degree in electronics and power. And some drunk space rat says he's wrong.
Skipper, I was damping jets when that shirt-tailed tad wore pins for buttons.
I got no time for you, Riesling. Scratch your name off the book and
get out.
No,
don't get excited.
Well, are you shipping or not?
I reckon.
Then get below. That's all. Casey, sound takeoff.
Aye, sir. Come on, boy.
On a Hawk-class clunker in those days, damping was done by hand with a multiplying vernier and a danger peeper. Jetmen slept with one ear tuned to that, and as long as the peeper ticked off slow and steady, we knew the ship was safe. For a while. Riesling, you better stow that guitar. If Jimmy Legs catches you, he'll blow a gasket.
Don't worry, I could damp this tea kettle in my sleep.
Yeah, how's number 2?
All right, so far. Say, did you ever hear that song about Hicks? The one that got me blacklisted?
Oh, the skipper is the father of his crew. A gentle guide and light to me and you. But on Mars he likes his women if they walk or if they're swimming or if they got 6 arms instead of 2.
Second verse is better.
Yeah. The skipper likes his liquor by the quart. Yeah, he'd go from Mars to Venus for a snort. He'll drink rocket fuel and...
Well, hi, Skipper. Didn't see you come in.
You were too busy, eh? Who's watching the gauge?
I got an eye on it. Don't you fret none.
Riesling, I'm going to fix it so you couldn't get a space berth on a rocket-powered pogo stick. You're logged. Report to Casey under arrest.
I don't rightly think I will, Skipper.
You what?
Well, you kind of forget, Skipper. According to Space Code, you can't remove a jet man till the end of the watch, right?
You tell me Riesling, your shift is over at 2300. And I'll see you ride the rest of the way in slop locker.
Maybe. In the meantime, you clear out of my power room. I gotta make me up a third verse from a song.
Yeah, I got it. Power room.
Damp number 2 a point.
Number 2, I...
Hold on, Hertzman. Jimmy Legs, is that 4-stripe boil up there?
Give me that, Casey. Riesling, I've taken about enough from you.
And I got a little news for you, Skipper. Number 2 jet is bulging like a fat lady in a satin skirt.
Listen, you clown. Damp number 2 a point.
Why, sure. Look out, Hertzman. I'll take it. You watch the gauge. Now.
She's riding easy here.
Yeah, she's bucking a little.
Riesling,
hit the emergency!
All right.
She won't damp. It's that warp.
Yeah.
There go the lights. Duck her. Duck. Riesling! Stay down behind the baffle. I gotta take a look. It's radioactive. Look out. I've gotta fish the hot stuff out of the tube.
What's going on down there?
Shut up, Jimmy Legs. I'm busy. She's tight now.
What happened?
Number 2 blew, you lunk-headed space rat.
You all right?
A little sunburn. Lights are gone. What's the matter with the emergency circuits?
Riesling,
Jimmy Legs, get some lights down here. It's dark. Get the emergency light on.
But they're on, Riesling. They went on right after the blast. The lights are on.
What are you talking about? It's dark. Jimmy Legs! Jimmy Legs, turn on the lights. Turn on the lights.
That blue, radioactive glow from the jets was the last thing Riesling ever saw. His optic nerve was burned out in an instant. He was in sick bay on the rest of the trip, and on the swing back, we set Riesling down at Drywater. I ran into Riesling about 2 months later, playing his guitar on a jetty that ran out into the canal. He had a dirty rag tied over his eyes with a jetman's knot, and his hat was on the wharf beside him. And when he finished, we walked out along the canal.
Yeah, I'm doing right fine. Working saloons mostly. But I've been thinking some funny songs, Hertzman. The words come out different than they used to. Come on along the canal with me.
Sure. Here, take my arm.
I know the way. That's another funny thing, Hertzman. I figure I know it better than other folks. Look back there, towards the city. What do you see?
New factory buildings? You could smell them from here.
I still remember them old Martian towers, old before Bible times on Earth. Thin and graceful like the fairy palaces my old grandma used to tell about down home in the hills.
Yeah, they torn them down now, or else blocked them up with cinder blocks.
Hertzman, when I stand out here in the canal, I can see it the way it used to be. The water ice blue with the stars shining up out of it. Way off there, the city with the towers sweeping up like a bird flying off a tree. I can see it.
Now it's the dirtiest stinkhole in the system.
Not to me. Listen, Hertzman.
Bone tar the race that raised the towers, forgotten are their lords. Long gone the gods who shed the tears that lap these crystal shores. Slow beats the time-worn heart of Mars beneath this icy sky.
The thin air whispers voicelessly that all who live must die.
Look that up? I can't figure it myself. I never put words together like that before. I reckon it's just I got time now to study the words and shine them up in my head till they sing true.
Why don't you go home, Riesling?
Home?
Earth.
I've been thinking about that, Hertzman. When I was a young'un down in the Ozarks, I used to climb a big old oak tree my daddy had in the dooryard. You could see the hills for miles, green and cool. I've been thinking about that.
Well, why don't you go back then?
Someday, Hertzman, but I couldn't face those hills now. I couldn't stand to see black when I knew they was lying all around me, cool and green in the sun. I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to town, Hertzman. I made $3.50 marching today, and I'm all set to drink it down before dawn. Come on.
I lost track of Riesling after that. I shipped out in a slow freight to the Condor class for Luna, and he hitched a hike to Venusberg in an ore ship in the Triplanet run. So he beat around the system, Venusberg to Layport to Drywater to New Shanghai and back. Any spaceport was his home, and no skipper'd refuse to lift the extra mass of Riesling and his guitar. He made up his songs sitting out watches down in the power rooms with old shipmates, while the monotonous beat of the jets shook the hull plates.
Hear the jets.
Hear the jets.
Hear them snarl at your back when you're stretched on the rack.
Hear the jets.
Feel the pain in your ship. Feel a strain in your grip.
Hear the jets.
Feel her rise. Feel her drive. Straining steel come alive on her jets.
On her jets.
Little by little, his songs began to travel along with spaceways ahead of him. Raw spaceman songs. A different kind of song. Strange, sad songs, like the ones you find printed in the Centennial editions. Well, there's one called Dark Star Passing and Death Song of a Weed Cold. And then finally, The Green Hills of Earth. It grew for 20 years, that song. They say it started way back when Riesling was down in the labor camps in Venus singing for the indentured men. When he hit Venus, he'd always head out for the backwoods to sing for them.
First, if someone will kindly pass a bottle.
Oh, it ain't much, Riesling. Here.
It'll do. Oh, what is that stuff?
Tequila. You can't make him good here on Venus.
What do you use?
Karak bush. Home it is different.
How'd you come to sign on?
When a man comes out the village from the city, he says there's work. You sign the paper and you work. Work? It's work, all right. 10 stinking hours in the jungle with machete.
How long you signed for?
Well, then I only speak Spanish. I don't know. The paper says 10 years. 10 years?
How long you got to go?
What's the use? We ain't getting home. You know how many men die out there in the swamp today? 10 men. 10. What's the use? My mother, she's dead. My father don't care.
Girl?
Oh, she says she waits. I don't know. You sing some more, Riesling. We drink and you sing, huh?
Maybe a new song, son.
We rot in the molds of Venus. We retch out a tainted breath.
See?
Foul are flooded jungles, crawling with unclean death. We've tried each spinning space mote and reckoned its true worth. Take us back to the homes of men and the cool green hills of earth. Take us
back.
What's the matter? Finish the song, Riesling.
I can't yet. It just don't come. I'll finish it when I go home. That's it. When I go home to the hills. Now pass that bottle. A dawn whistle don't blow for 4 hours.
That's where the Green Hills started. And I was there when it was finished. It was 20 years after that. And there wasn't a man flying or on the beach that hadn't heard of Riesling in his songs. He was getting old now for a spaceman. He was a familiar figure through the system. Tall, gaunt, with that dirty bandage tied across his blind eyes. I was a chief jetman then on the old Falcon. We were cradled at Venus, Ellis Isle, scheduled for a direct jump to Great Lakes, Illinois, on Earth. I was checking in Dunwich when Riesling felt his way up the gangway and came through the lock. Hey, Riesling!
Who's that?
Mike Hertzman.
Hertzman!
What are you doing in this old hog boat?
Well, I figured I'd ride it back to Earth.
Earth? You going home, Riesling? I thought you were never going to make that run. What changed your mind?
Oh, I've been hankering to set foot in the Ozarks again.
Yeah, how about those hills?
Yeah, I've been singing about them so long now, Hertzman. I got to finish the song. I got to set foot in the dooryard and hear the wind through that oak tree. It's about the last thing I'll be doing. I got to get home before...
Look, Riesling, there's a new company policy in effect now. No more deadhead rides. A new code book's in force.
Oh, that don't bother me none. I'm riding her back to Earth. I'm going to finish my song. It's got to be there.
Yeah, but the skipper's one of them youngsters fresh out of Harriman Institute cadet training. He'll throw the book at you.
At me? I've been around space as long as Haley's Common and Brewster's Ridge. I'm going back to Earth. The old green hills of Earth. I'm going home.
All secured, Hertzman?
Yes, sir.
What are you doing here?
This is Riesling, Captain.
Riesling, huh?
I'm dragging it back to Earth, Captain.
Not in this ship. Shake a leg and get out of here.
Oh, no, Captain, you wouldn't begrudge an old man a trip home.
I can't do it. Space Precautionary Code Clause 6. Now, come on, clear out.
Oh, now, look, Skipper, you can slide me by onto the distressed spaceman's coals in that code book.
Distressed spaceman, my eye. You've been bumming around the system for 30 years.
Oh, Skipper, you're making me do something I never done to no one before. I'm an old man. An old blind man. I want to go home. I never crawled in front of a force drop in my life, but you got to let me drag home. The law says a man's got a trip coming to him, and you can stretch for a poor old blind man. Now, can't you? You got to, Skipper.
All right, you old space rat, but keep out of the way. I run an efficient ship, and I don't want any trouble.
Oh, no, sir, no trouble. I'll just lay down to the power room. I'd kind of like to be near the jets when they blast off for Earth.
Sit down, Riesling. Take a load off your feet.
Hey, thanks, Mac.
Power room, fire 3.
Aye, sir. Have you seen these new automatic tampers, Riesling? Don't have to do nothing, just sit and watch.
Yeah, where's the peeper?
Turned off. It's all automatic.
Youngsters have it solved. When I was twisting her tail, you had to stay awake. You got the old hand-damping plates on?
Oh, but the links, I unshipped them. They cover up the dials.
You might need them.
Oh, the automatics handle everything. Well, you're finally going home, Riesling, huh? Won't seem the same out past the moon.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this a long time, Mac. It's going to be good to get home, I reckon.
The Argent sky is calling spacemen back to their trade.
Mac, I got the emergency. The hand dampers. Here are the links. Mac, run. Mac, they ought to be on the wall somewhere here. I got them.
What's the alarm? Emergency squad coming in.
Stay out. The place is hot. Radiation blast.
Stay behind the baffles.
I got the links shipped. I can hand damper now.
What's going on in there?
I'm spilling jet 3.
Is this McDougal?
McDougal's dead. This is Riesling on water.
Riesling! Get out of there, you'll kill yourself.
Don't worry, Skipper. I know this power room like the inside of my shirt. Somebody's got the damper.
Riesling, I'm sending in the crew.
No use. The whole room will be hot for an hour and the other jets won't hold. Oh, Skipper, throw on recording tape.
What?
Throw on a recording tape. I got a song to finish. And I gotta make it right now. Yeah, I can hear it.
Riesling, the radiation will burn you down.
She's clear now, Skipper. She'll burn out clean.
Riesling! Riesling, are you all right?
I reckon. Pretty sharp sunburn. You'll pick me out of here with tongs and bury me in a lead shield coffin. Radiation's getting bright. I can almost see it. Bright, rosy like the sun. Like the sun over the hills down home.
We pray for one last landing on the globe that gave us birth. Let us rest our eyes on the fleecy skies of the cool green hills of earth.
That's the way he died. Riesling, the blind singer of the spaceways, singing of the home he never reached, the cool green hills of Earth.
You have just heard X-1, transcribed by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight's story, The Green Hills of Earth, written by Robert Heinlein and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Ken Williams as Riesling, Nelson Almstead as Hertzman, Matt Crowley as Hicks, Wendell Holmes as Casey, Bill Griffiths as Rodriguez, Bill Lipton as the Skipper, and William Zuckert as McDougal. Original music for Riesling songs was written and sung by Tom Glazer. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, the strange story of Dr. Grimshaw's sanitarium and of a patient there who suddenly found himself involved in a game of cat and mouse. But the man had actually been reduced to the size of a mouse, while the cat remained full size. What happened then? You'll learn next week.
Convicts tell their true stories on The Loser, tonight over most NBC radio stations.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. Stay tuned.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X-1. Tonight's story, Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitarium. What you will hear in the next half hour represents either a magnificent hoax or the true explanation of the famous Grimshaw Sanitarium scandal which made the headlines back in 1947. The manuscript upon which this account is based was removed by the New York State Police from a fountain pen cover found in the doorway to Dr. Grimshaw's study. We offer this manuscript as evidence only. Whether it is authentic or not, you must judge for yourselves.
My name is John Dougherty. I'm a graduate of Hamilton College, class of 34, a member of Theta Alpha. I'm one of those fools who wanted some excitement in life, so instead of going into my father's shoe business, I became a private detective. These are facts. You can check them if you like. The rest of what I write here is so fantastic that I don't expect it to be believed. If anyone should find this manuscript and read it, all I ask is that you notify Miss Millicent Armbruster of 299 Wallace Avenue, Buffalo, that Johnny Dougherty is dead. On the evening of July 1st, Miss Armbruster and I were driving to a wedding. Not our own, although I wish it had been. It was Sunday, and in order to avoid traffic, I took the Old Mill Road, a single-lane dirt affair that runs past the Gowanda Cemetery.
Johnny, aren't you going too fast?
Not for this road. There isn't a thing around except some tombstones and...
Johnny, the gate to the cemetery.
Well, what about it?
That hearse, look out! Look out!
We skidded for about 20 feet and slammed into the back of the hearse. The two rear doors buckled and snapped open. It was a freak. A huge oak coffin with brass handles tipped up and began slowly to slide back toward us.
Oh, how horrible.
You stay right here, baby. You okay, Mac?
You don't pay much attention to speed limits, do you, Jack?
Now, look, let's not get hung up on who was right and who was wrong. I was going too fast, and you were traveling without lights after dark.
Let's see your driver's license.
Right here.
Oh. Private eye, eh?
Now, if you don't mind, who does this joy wagon belong to?
Gowanda Funeral Service. It's being rented to Grimshaw.
Who?
Grimshaw from the private sanitarium.
Mind if I ask what you were doing after dark coming out of a cemetery with a wooden kimono?
We're moving one of Grimshaw's patients to a new grave.
They always travel like this?
Look, Hawkshaw, how about skipping the 3rd degree and giving me a hand getting this box back in the wagon?
A pleasure. Better screw on that cover again. It's going to slide off.
Let's get it in the hearse first.
Okay, Junior. You get on that end.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, lift.
Now just slide it.
Oh, brother, who's in there, King Kong?
Look out for the cover.
I told you that would happen. What's the guy's name, Junior?
Oh, why don't you ask him, Sherlock Holmes?
A real wise guy, huh? I've got half a mind to report this accident.
Yeah, well, go ahead. See where it gets you. Now, if you'll pardon me, I'll deliver the body.
Everything all right, Johnny?
I thought so until a few seconds ago. Listen, Millie, can you sit here in the car for another 5 minutes?
Where are you going?
For a stroll through the cemetery.
Oh, Johnny, stop making jokes.
When we lifted that coffin back on the meat wagon, I got a good look inside it.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly how I felt. I figured we'd knock the stuffing out of the corpse, only I didn't expect the stuffing to be sand.
What?
Yes. That wasn't a body, that was a dummy stuffed with sand, a dummy with a wax face.
Johnny!
Which brings up an interesting question. Who's supposed to be in that box, and, just where is the dead man spending his time? Sometimes in my business, when things drop off, you have to go out and, dig up new clients. My next case was a gentleman named Harlan Ward Sr., a wealthy automobile manufacturer. I'd gotten his name off his son's tombstone.
Are you trying to tell me, Dougherty, that my son Harlan was never buried at Gowanda Cemetery?
Exactly, Mr. Ward.
But why?
Maybe if you'll tell me the circumstances surrounding your son's death, I can help answer that.
My son was a rather impetuous young man. Tall, good-looking. After his graduation from Princeton, he began drinking quite heavily. After he got into a couple of scrapes, we sent him to Dr. Grimshaw's sanitarium in the hopes that he could be cured. While my wife and I were in Europe, we received word that he died, buried at Gowanda in our absence. Last week, my wife and I decided to have his body removed to the family vault here at Short Hills.
How'd your son die?
Suicide.
You never saw the body?
No. We couldn't get back from Europe in time. Now you tell me that his coffin contains a dummy. How do I know this whole thing isn't a plan to fleece me?
You don't.
But you're a rich man, Mr. Ward, and you're perfectly willing to take a chance that I'm on the level and that your son may still be alive.
You sound very sure of yourself, Mr. Doherty.
My fee is a $2,000 retainer plus expenses.
What sort of expenses?
However much it costs to take the cure at Dr. Grimshaw's sanitarium. Dr. Grimshaw's sanitarium was just outside Gowanda. Most of the cases were nervous breakdowns and alcoholics. I committed myself as a dipso, and just to make it convincing, I stopped at 5 or 6 bars on the way over. I was interviewed by Grimshaw himself, a small man with a fringe of white hair.
You understand, Mr. Doherty.
That's not my real name, of course, social reasons.
We understand. Our paid clientele is very select, and our rates are very high.
You will be paid in cash and in advance, Dr. Grimshaw. How long does a cure usually take?
That, of course, depends on the degree of alcoholism. This is my assistant, Dr. Boyner.
How do you do?
How do you do? We are accepting Mr. Doherty as a patient. Better place him in the ward with Mr. K and Mr. Creaky. Mr. K is a long-term patient, Mr. Doherty, a highly intelligent man, formerly a professor of plant pathology. Mr. Creaky suffers mild delusions. I think you'll find him rather amusing.
After about 3 days, my roommates Arthur Kay and Creaky got used to me. And we even began to play three-handed bridge. Kay was a chronic dope addict, an intelligent, sensitive man. Creaky was nothing but a clown. He kept a big black cat named the Professor, which he talked to as if it were human.
And so I said to her, "My dear Countess, if you don't like the company of my cat, then you don't like me." She looked at me as if I were insane. But of course the joke was on her because I was. Professor? The professor is very sociable. Excellent company.
Except when he kills birds and deposits them in your bed. He's nothing but a feline murderer as far as I'm concerned.
See? You have insulted him, Mr. K.
Come here, Professor. Let's make friends. How about giving me your paw? Oh! Scratched me, you black devil.
You insulted him. You hurt his feelings.
Well, just keep him away from me.
It will be a pleasure. I would advise you not to insult him again. Good afternoon and evening.
Is he always as nuts as that?
Ever since I've been here.
What's his problem?
Manic depressive. And a little paranoid, too.
How long have you been here, Arthur?
At Grimshaw's 2 years. I left for a while, but I couldn't stay away from the junk, so I committed myself again.
Did you, happen to know a patient here named Harlan Ward?
Why do you ask that? Did you know him?
I met him socially a few times. I understand he died here.
So the newspapers said. I wouldn't know.
Suicide, wasn't it?
Was it?
You're being pretty careful, aren't you?
Mr. Doherty, what would you say if I were to tell you that I don't believe Harlan Ward is dead?
What makes you so certain?
He used to share this room with us. He slept in the same bed you now use.
I see.
He was an alcoholic, doing quite well, too, from what I could observe. We all expected him to go home soon. Then one evening he had a violent fight with Creaky. Creaky accused him of snooping or something. Later that night, Grimshaw and Boyner took him out.
Where?
Where they take all the special treatment cases to the charity clinic. It's that small building on the other side of the stone wall. A few days later, we read about his death. Suicide, they said.
Just what makes you think he's still alive, Arthur?
This. About a month ago, I was in the garden next to the wall that separates us from the charity clinic. Suddenly, I thought I heard a sound, like a child whimpering. It stopped. And a moment later, this note came over the wall, wrapped around a stone.
What's it say?
Help me, for God's sake, Harlan Ward.
Arthur, how would you like to have some fun?
Like what?
Like sneaking out tonight and going over the wall to the charity ward? What do you say? It would break the monotony a little.
I suppose there's no real harm in it.
Of course not. I'd go alone, but I'll need help scaling the wall. Will you do it?
All right. I'll go with you.
Clear. Give me your hand and I'll lift you. Be careful when you drop. Ready?
Go ahead.
There's a charity building over there, the one with the lights in the basement window.
Come on. Let's crawl over. Maybe we can see something. Shh. Listen. Can you make out what he's saying?
No, I can barely hear. Good Lord.
What was that?
Probably some patient having the DTs.
Let's have a look. Easy, it wouldn't do to get caught now.
See anything?
Some sort of laboratory. I can see Grimshaw and Voyne and something else. What? There's a child with its back toward me.
Now take it quietly. It will be easier.
Please, don't.
It will all be over soon. You won't remember anything.
No, I don't want to go.
Why not give it to him?
No.
Shut him up, why not?
Good Lord.
What was it? What did they do to that child?
Either. That wasn't a child. It was a midget. The smallest midget I've ever seen.
What were they doing?
Trying to give it some sort of injection. When it resisted, Voyne knocked it out.
What do you suppose they were doing to it?
I don't know, Arthur. All I know is that when it fell, it had the face of Harlan Ward. All the way back to our room, my brain was working like some frantic pinball machine. Only the score somehow wouldn't add up. The pieces were there, all right. A crazy old doctor, a brutal assistant, a private sanitarium, and a midget with a dead man's face. I thought that when I got back to our room, I'd have some time to think about it. I'd forgotten about our friend, the happiness boy, Count Crakey.
So, I caught you.
Fine, you've caught us. Now how about crawling back into the woodwork like a good little count?
Where were you?
Mink hunting. Arthur and I like to go mink hunting at night.
You make fun of Count Crakey? I shall report you to Dr. Voyne.
You'd better not if you know what's good for you.
So, you threaten me? Me, Count Crakey? I shall scream for help. Help! Help!
Did you hurt him?
Just knocked him out.
What do we do now?
Put him to bed. Hope that when he wakes up in the morning, he's forgotten the whole thing.
And if he hasn't?
He's too crazy for them to take seriously anyway. Come on, let's get him back into bed. I went to sleep in my own room. And the next thing I felt was the sharp jab of the hypodermic needle in my left arm. Hold it.
It'll be useless to struggle, Mr. Doherty. In a moment, your motor nerves will be completely paralyzed.
What's this about, Grimshaw?
I might ask the same of you. My good friend Count Crakey informs me you and Mr. K decided to do some snooping earlier tonight. He followed you and saw you climb the wall.
Crakey's insane.
Mr. Doherty, that is a matter of opinion.
Crakey, what is this?
Perhaps my assistant, Dr. Grimshaw, would be good enough to explain.
Assistant?
Yes. You see, I am the actual head of the Grimshaw Sanatorium.
Count Crakey feigns many delusions, Mr. Doherty. But in this case, he is telling the truth. Count Crakey is actually Professor Ernst Hassler. Professor Hassler and I worked together in the Berlin Neurological Institute before and during the last war.
Unfortunately, my political affiliations with the Third Reich were under investigation by the War Crimes Commission. However, Dr. Grimshaw managed to smuggle me into this country, where I masqueraded as a mental patient, in order that we might continue certain experiments which were interrupted by the American Army.
I can imagine the sort of experiments you conducted.
You and your friend Mr. K will discover their exact nature very shortly, Mr. Doherty. It is a magnificent opportunity to serve science.
I passed out. And the next thing I knew, I was coming to in a different room. And hearing the voices of Voyne, Grimshaw, and Crakey, as if from a great distance.
Pituitrin.
Pituitrin.
4 cc's.
4 cc's.
How are the measurements?
Reducing rapidly.
We'll operate at once. Have Voyne start the anesthesia.
Very well, Doctor. Come back.
When I came to again, I had a blinding headache. I began to wonder if Crakey and Grimshaw weren't doing something to drive me insane, because I lost all sense of perspective. The room seemed to grow in size. I don't know how much time passed, but one day Crakey came into the room with a bundle in his arms about the size of a newborn baby. The bundle was my friend, Arthur Kay. And worse yet, I was exactly the same size that he was.
Let me out of here. Let me out.
Allow me to congratulate you, gentlemen. How are you feeling?
You dirty monster.
I'm disappointed, gentlemen. Do you not feel privileged to be a part of an experiment that will place me at the very top rank of the world's endocrinologists?
What are you doing to us, you madman?
It has long been established, gentlemen, that dwarfism and giantism result from injury to or malfunction of the pituitary and thyroid glands. The interlock between these glands was thought to be a hormone. I have discovered that this was incorrect. It was an enzyme. An enzyme I isolated some years ago. I was well on the way to synthesis in Germany when the surrender interrupted me. The interruption also limited the number and type of subjects on whom I could experiment. I was forced to find others.
Such as Harlan Ward?
Mr. Ward was only a control experiment.
I suppose you planned the same for us.
No, gentlemen. For you, I have reserved a special privilege. You, gentlemen, will be the first to test the full effects of the enzyme. In short, I intend that you, Mr. Kay, and you, Mr. Doherty, when the experiment is completed, will emerge as perfectly healthy, normal individuals. Except, of course, that you will be only 5 inches tall.
The days and nights that followed were a living nightmare. A nightmare from which Arthur and I awoke for brief periods to find ourselves in a strange new world. A huge, frightening world where everything seemed enlarged 100 times. When we finally emerged, we found ourselves imprisoned in a tiny mouse cage. Judging by the relative size of things, we could not have been more than 5 inches tall. Now we realized the experiment was at an end. That from now on, it was either escape or be destroyed.
How's it coming, Arthur? Another moment. I think I'll have this lock worked loose. And if we escape, then what? We'll worry about that after we get out of this mouse cage. Suppose we don't make it. At least you've written the story on that scrap of paper. Someone may find it and read it. Nobody will believe it. Then why did you bother to write it? I don't know. I suppose I want the world to know what happened to me. That does it. Help me push the door open. Now what? The first job is getting down to the floor. I think we can make it by sliding down the telephone cord. Are you game? Go ahead. I'm right behind you. Easy now. Look out! That does it. Now, if we can figure out a way to get out of the room, well, that should be... Uh-oh. Listen. Somebody's coming. It must be Crakey. We've got to hide. Here. The grate in the fireplace. He'll kill us if he finds us. Stay quiet.
Well, my friends, time for feeding. I trust that you... So, you have managed to break out. It won't do, you know. There is no way you could have gotten out of the room with the door and window locked. I know you are in here. I would advise you to save yourselves trouble and give up. Very well, my tiny friends. If you prefer to play the game of cat and mouse, then I shall be happy to furnish the cat. There is no way you can get out.
What now? He's gone for the cat. If that monster ever gets in here, we're goners. There must be... Wait a minute. What? You see that thin strand of wire running along the molding? What about it? It's the automatic fire alarm. When the alarm is tripped by a fire or short circuit, all the locks are sprung so that the patients can escape from their rooms. If I can short that wire before Crakey lets the cat into the building, let's go. There's a tiny sliver of steel from the cage on the floor. I'll work with that. You keep an ear to the door. Go ahead. This insulation is tough as rawhide. Blast this stuff. Hurry up, Arthur, for God's sake. There it is. Stand away. I'm going to short it. Ready? Okay. We made it. There goes the door. Let's make a run for it down the hall. If we can get to the garden, we've got a chance. I smell smoke. The short may have actually started a fire. Come on. Wait a minute. I have to go back. The manuscript. Don't be a fool. There's no time. Come on. You go ahead. I'll catch up. Hurry up. I'll wait in the hall. Only a second. I've got it. Come on. There's nothing to stop us now. Arthur, where are you? It's funny. Arthur? Arthur? Arthur, what's happened to you?
This is the record found in a fountain pen cover in the burned-out hallway of Dr. Grimshaw's sanitarium. There's nothing to add, except that the fire which destroyed the sanitarium and killed so many of its occupants, including Dr. Grimshaw and Dr. Voyna, was definitely of incendiary nature. It is believed by the fire chief that some small creature, possibly a mouse, chewed the insulation off the wire and short-circuited the system. The two patients, John Doherty and Arthur Kay, vanished completely after the fire, and their remains were never found. Whether the manuscript which you have just heard is authentic, or whether it was the work of one of the more demented inmates of the sanitarium, we leave to your judgment.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production.
X-1. Our next broadcast was produced for syndication in 1949 at WMGN New York. It was based on a popular series of movies in the late 1930s and early 1940s and brought to the microphone the stars of the series, Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Ayres plays the young, idealistic doctor, and Barrymore, ever in character, was the crusty, lovable diagnostician. The men worked at Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine, a clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on. We present to you Dr. Kildare on HOJO Radio.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. Whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the
The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, the story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. Now, the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine. A clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York, nerve center of medical progress, where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting battle against death and disease. Blair General Hospital, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on. Good morning, Mr. Beauregard.
Colonel Beauregard, sir. This I remind you repeatedly, Dr. Kildare. I have the honor to be a full colonel of the Virginia Volunteers.
I'm sorry, Colonel. I forgot about it. How do you feel?
Well, sir, if I wasn't feeling mighty bad, I wouldn't be here. I came here from Richmond 2 weeks ago, paralyzed from the waist down, and I am now also paralyzed in my left arm, and nothing has been done for me.
We can't treat the paralysis until we've diagnosed the cause of it.
It is arthritis, sir. I informed you of that the first day I came here.
There's positively no evidence we can find of any arthritic changes.
Now, you look here, young man. I came up north to get one of those newfangled arthritis shots I've heard about, and I'm going to have one, even if I have to take legal action against this institution. Do you hear me?
Yes, I imagine the whole 7th floor can hear you.
Right.
Well, I'll drop in again later in the day.
Here now, don't you go running out on me.
I'm a doctor, Colonel Beauregard. Legal matters come under another department. Good day.
Dr. Kildare,
I could hear Papa shouting clear down the hall. He's not any worse, is he?
No, your father's about the same, Amy Lou. He's a little upset, that's all.
Well, I better go on in and talk to him. Seems like he just can't feel contented unless I'm standing right there at his side.
Yes, I've noticed he depends on you a lot.
Dr. Kildare, you're not holding something back, are you? I mean, it's not real bad and you just won't tell us about it.
Oh, no, Amy Lou. Dr. Gillespie and I have checked every possibility we can think of.
Oh.
We still don't know what's causing this paralysis of your father's. I wish to heaven we did.
Jimmy, you can go through those books until you're blue in the face, but you are not going to find any rare disease that explains this Beauregard case.
I wasn't looking for a disease, Dr. Gillespie. I was, thinking more of a syndrome.
Syndrome, huh? A group of concurrent related symptoms without a known cause. You're reaching for straws.
Maybe. What's your idea?
Well, the colonel is afflicted with the progressive atrophy of neural function, possibly degenerative in nature, and...
You're stalling. All you've said is that the patient is paralyzed. We've known that for 2 weeks.
All right, you mean? All right. Then I'll venture a tentative diagnosis.
Now, I'm interested. Shoot.
There's no physiological cause at all. The trouble is psychoneurotic, hysterical paralysis.
I'm afraid I can't buy that.
Why not? He's the hysterical type, isn't he?
Yes, but no, it won't hold water.
Do you have a better idea?
Sure. A hereditary syndrome called familial periodic paralysis.
Ridiculous. That's textbook curiosity. I've never had a case of it in 35 years of diagnosis.
You've got one now?
Go
Mind if I take another blood sample and run it for a potassium deficiency?
No, go ahead. Waste your time if you want to.
All right, let's see. I'll need a centrifuge and a flame photometer. Guess I'd better set up one of the labs.
And when you get this out of your system, Jimmy, we better plan the kind of psychiatric treatment we're going to use.
Well, maybe it won't be necessary. See you later.
Familial periodic paralysis. Confounded tarnation. Now, why didn't I think of that?
Dr. Kildare, since I came up to this northern hospital, I've been punctured by needles in 47 different places. Another week and I won't even have any blood left.
Easy now, Colonel. There we are.
Well, that's a full quart, sir. You've drawn out a full quart there.
Oh, it's only 20 cc's, and this may be the last sample we'll have to take.
Well, it's the last one you're going to get, sir.
Of course, if this doesn't separate properly, I'll have to run a second specimen.
I won't hear of it, sir. We Beauregards have always stood ready to shed our last drop of blood for the honor of the South, sir. But I must say my feelings toward Blair Hospital are not quite so generous. Dr. Kildare, no more blood, sir.
Dr. Kildare, I surely hope you don't mind me hanging around peering over your shoulder like this.
Not in the least, Amy Lou. You're as much concerned about this as I am. Now, let's get this sample out of the centrifuge. At least the vial didn't break.
Oh, I'm glad. Papa'd have a conniption fit if you tried to take another specimen.
Good clean separation, too. Well, we'll load it in the atomizer and see what we've got.
Dr. Kildare, I guess maybe I talk sometimes like I got magnolia blossoms where my brains ought to be.
No, you talk like a girl who's devoted to her father and who's pretty worried about his condition right now.
Well, I've always kind of looked after him since Mama died.
Let me get this burner lit. There we are.
Dr. Kildare, I guess I got even more than you know to worry about. You see, I've never had the nerve to tell Papa what I did about 6 months ago.
Well, what'd you do?
I got married.
Congratulations.
Papa'd be mad in a wet hen if he knew. He'd never even let me go out with boys.
What did you marry? A horse?
No, a boy. I met him secretly, you see. He was on the newspaper in Richmond at the time, but now he's working for a magazine here in New York, and he wants us to get an apartment and well, live together. He's getting mighty impatient.
Yes, I imagine.
I guess you can see I've got something to worry about, all right.
Well, Emmy Lou, if I'm wrong on this diagnosis, we'll both have something to worry about. Now, let's start the test.
All right, Jimmy. All right. But the only thing certain from these results is the fact the patient has a potassium deficiency. And that can happen from other causes.
Name one, Dr. Gillespie.
Well, amoebic dysentery, for one.
Oh, now, is that your diagnosis in the Beauregard case?
No. I didn't say that. I was merely giving you one example.
You've also been doing some research on the subject.
Confound it, I'm responsible for you. If you're going to put yourself out on a limb, I got to know something about the structure of the tree.
Well, just 3 or 4 doses of KCl solution ought to settle the question.
Yeah, make the colonel a pretty sick man if he doesn't have a tolerance for it.
Don't worry, he will.
Confound it, Jimmy. I still think it's psychoneurotic.
Oh, dear. There you are. Oh, dear.
Carew, lower your flaps and come in for a landing.
Dr. Gillespie, do you know what's happened?
No, what?
That patient, that Mr. Beauregard in 720.
It's Colonel Beauregard, sir.
Well, whatever he is, he's going to sue Blair Hospital.
Good.
Dr. Gillespie, please.
I mean it, Carew. I'm tired of watching that lawyer of yours sit back on his big, fat retaining fee without doing any work for it. It'd do him good to fight a case once in a while.
This is hardly a matter of a personal whimsy. Why, you've no idea how incensed this man is.
You think not?
By most of the things he said to me, I simply wouldn't sully myself by repeating.
Oh, that bad.
Gentlemen, this crisis must be met. Colonel Beauregard's case must be diagnosed without further delay.
Well, fortunately, Dr. Carew, we've just done that.
Our sacred honor demands that we... What did you say?
I said we've diagnosed the case and we're ready to start treatment.
Kildare?
Well, then there's nothing to worry about us.
No, not a thing in the world.
Dr. Gillespie, what is the diagnosis?
Well, it's a matter of, Dr. Kildare made certain tests which seem to indicate that, well, confound it, we've decided the colonel is afflicted with familial periodic paralysis.
Thank you, Doctor.
Can you imagine that?
Only with great difficulty.
We should have definite results within a couple of days, Dr. Carew.
Excellent. Oh, dear me. I must run up and tell the legal department. They'll be so happy about this.
Yes, undoubtedly.
Well, gentlemen, as they say in England, carry on.
Yeah. Jimmy, about that limb you got yourself out on.
Yes, Doctor?
Move over, will you?
It's nothing but salt water, Dr. Kildare. You've had me drinking that concoction for 2 days now, and I'll not imbibe any more of it. In Richmond, sir, we do not drink salt water.
Now, Papa, don't you go getting obstreperous again.
Oh, maybe you won't have to drink any more of it, Colonel. If we're right, you've had enough now for a cure.
A cure, sir? Well, may I point out to you, sir, that I am still flat on my back in this bed, paralyzed?
How do you know whether you're paralyzed until you try to get up and walk?
Dr. Gillespie, I'll not stand for any bullying, sir.
Oh, fiddle-faddle. Emmy Lou, throw those bedclothes back out of the way.
Yes, sir.
Here. Better put this robe around you, Colonel. It'll be a bad time to catch cold.
You're merely wasting your time. Salt water.
Now, go ahead. See if you can bend your knees and draw your feet up.
Well, of course I can. But I needs an arthritis shot.
Oh, please try, Papa. You just gotta try.
Maybe, Lou, I am trying, but
Look, they're moving, Papa. You're moving your legs.
By the great horn spoon.
Familial periodic, Doctor? So let's try standing up, Colonel.
Well, I doubt if I can, sir. I can barely move them. I still think an arthritis shot is what I...
Feet on the floor. That's it. Now, hold on to my arm. Try to stand. Easy now.
Well, I don't think I can...
Oh, Papa.
Well, by Jefferson Davis.
You're standing up.
Colonel, a few days massage of those muscles and you'll be as good as new.
Well, I'd never have believed it, sir. And from salt water.
Oh, Papa. I'm so happy, and it's all so wonderful.
Sure. Don't carry on, Emmy Lou.
Oh, but it is. You're going to be all right, and I'm so happy. And now I can leave home and go live with Richard.
What did you say, Emmy Lou?
I'm married. I've been married for 6 months, and I've been scared to tell you about it.
Emmy Lou?
His name's Richard, and he's wonderful. And we're going to live right here in New York, and you can come see us every... Papa!
Catch him, Jimmy.
Easy now, Colonel. There.
My legs. My legs, sir. I can't move them.
Oh, it's all right. Here, let's get him back into bed. Oh, there you are.
They're paralyzed, sir. Just like they were before.
Oh, Papa.
Emmy Lou, we'll be outside.
Well, it looks as if that's that. Familial, huh, Jimmy?
All right, now, Gillespie, the limb broke. I'll come down to your office in a half hour. Guess we'd better plan some kind of psychiatric treatment.
We will return to the story of Dr. Kildare in just a moment. Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Oh, Jimmy, come in. How's the Colonel?
Oh, he's all right, Dr. Gillespie. Emmy Lou's staying with him. Well, what do we do now?
Do? Why, we just put all our faith in potassium salt solution. Can't possibly go wrong.
No. I just ran a photometer test. The concentration of potassium in his blood is essentially normal now.
And yet the patient is still paralyzed. Amazing, Dr. Kildare.
All right, but it was the right answer. He was cured. Trouble now is an entirely different cause.
And might I inquire as to the nature of that cause?
Yeah. Psychoneurotic. Hysterical paralysis, to quote an old medical friend of mine. Colonel Beauregard is an abnormally possessive father. Knowledge that his daughter was married and was planning to leave him was quite a shock. Though his mind fastened on one sure way of holding her. A way in which he was already conditioned. Paralysis.
Well, that's quite a coincidence, though, Jimmy. Patient paralyzed twice in the same day from two different causes.
Now, you're just trying to start an argument.
Oh.
That's the only logical explanation of his trouble, and you know it as well as I do.
Yeah, sure, but still it's a coincidence. We'll have a hard time convincing anybody else of it.
Yeah, especially Garou.
That nincompoop. He's got a chronic paralysis himself from the neck up.
It's too bad. Just when he had the legal department all quieted down.
Pardon me.
What is it, Parker? What?
Well, Dr. Carew is out here. Shall I?
Yes. Send him in. Confound it, Jimmy. I got to learn to stop speaking of the devil.
No. What's all this about the devil?
We've just decided Colonel Beauregard's possessed of a devil.
Really? Is there anything to be... Oh, you're twitting me. Besides, the little bird told me that you had the colonel up and walking.
What a precocious little bird.
In fact, I'm just on my way now to see the miracle for myself, as you might put it.
Yes, well, why don't you put it that way?
And I'm going to remind the colonel, in a subtle way, of course, about those nasty accusations he made.
Excellent. Maybe you better hurry up. He might decide to go for a stroll, you know.
Oh, dear, that's right. I'll go right on up there. Well, as they say in...
Yeah, just carry on.
Quite.
No, Dr. Kildare, I fear I'm doomed to spend the rest of my natural life in this unfortunate condition, sir. A useless, burden to my loved ones.
Oh, now, let's not give up and decide that so quickly, Colonel. We had you on your feet once. We can do it again.
I might say that I do not share your confidence.
Now, you've got to learn to share it. We can't expect any results until you do. Don't you want to walk again?
Well, that's a preposterous question, sir. Do you believe that I would deliberately choose the life of a helpless invalid?
No, Colonel, not deliberately.
We Beauregards have always been men of action, sir. Why, during the war between the states, when that blackguard Grant, by a piece of low chicanery, managed to enter the city of Richmond,
yes,
my family was the last in town to surrender, sir.
Yes, well, then
my father, who was 15 at the time, was behind the well curb firing a horse pistol.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was at the basement window firing a squirrel rifle.
I see.
And my grandmother was on her second-floor piazza throwing down rocks. I'm a man of action, sir.
Well, in that case, Colonel, fighting a simple thing like a mere case of paralysis ought to be a cinch.
Well, that's different, sir. It's not something a man can see or get a hold of.
It's something that can be fought. That is, if you want to fight it.
Well, of course I want to, sir. I can't bear to think that I might be this way all my life.
Oh, it's hard on you. And on your daughter as well.
Emmy Lou is free to choose any course she desires, Dr. Kildare.
She'll never leave you in this condition.
I shall insist that she live her own life, sir.
Have you met her new husband?
I have not, sir. That violator of the home sneaking around to steal her away from me like a thief in the night.
I see. Well, Colonel, the problem seems to be fairly clear-cut, but the treatment depends entirely on you. I can't do a thing until you decide to cooperate. That is, to fight. Well, there's no doubt about it, Dr. Gillespie. You were right. Some of those statements he made are pretty indicative.
Yeah.
It's a psychoneurotic mechanism, nothing else.
Any chance he might be faking it, Jimmy?
No, it's legitimate, all right.
Hmm?
He is right at the edge of his consciousness, though. He can almost sense the reason. That's why he's so ready to give up now and accept it. That avoids any chance of a cure.
Paralysis in preference to losing his daughter. Yeah. Well, it fits the pattern.
Yes, the problem's obvious enough. So's the treatment.
Provide some kind of shock to wipe out this solution his mind has created for him. Change the problem in some way. Any ideas, Jimmy?
No. Well, I'll read up on some case histories this evening. Try to find some weak spot in the Colonel's fortifications.
A psychiatric blockbuster, Jimmy. That's what we need.
Yeah. Well, see you later.
Dr. Kildare,
Oh, Emmy Lou.
I've been waiting here to talk to you. Dr. Kildare, is there any hope at all for Papa?
Well, that's pretty hard to tell yet.
In other words, right at present, there isn't.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
What am I going to do? I love Richard and I want to be with him. But I love Papa, too, and that's not all, Dr. Kildare. It's not merely a simple matter of being married that I got to worry about. It's more than that.
Yes, I know.
You do? How did you know?
I'm a doctor, Emmy Lou, remember?
What am I going to do?
Well, for one thing, you're going to consult me or some other doctor tomorrow morning. My mother has to start taking care of her child before he's born, you know.
Oh, I know I should have, but everything was so mixed up.
Does your father know about it?
Good heavens, Dr. Kildare, I wouldn't dare tell him about this.
I guess he would really blow it. Wait a second. A shock, huh?
What do you mean?
Something to upset his solution. Come on, Emmy Lou, let's talk to Dr. Gillespie. I think you may be our blockbuster. Here we are. Go ahead, Dr. Gillespie.
Thank you. Good morning, Colonel Beauregard. Emmy Lou.
Good morning, Dr. Gillespie.
Well, 2 doctors and a nurse, and all at the same time. Now, with the risk of appearing uncooperative, I might inform you all that I am not getting ready to die.
Oh, of course you're not, Colonel, but we thought you might want someone with you at a time like this.
At a time like what, sir?
Why, Emmy Lou, haven't you told him yet?
I was scared to, Dr. Kildare. I was waiting till you all got here.
Waiting for what, if I may inquire?
I guess you'd better tell him, Emmy Lou. Richard's probably downstairs in the lounge now.
Yes,
Well, speak up, daughter. What are you trying to say?
Papa, I'm going to leave you. I'm going away with Richard, with my husband.
Emmy Lou.
I've talked it all over with Dr. Gillespie and Dr. Kildare, and they think I'm doing the right thing.
I'm betrayed. Stabbed in the back.
No, Papa, they're right. I'm awful sorry we'll never see each other again, but after all, I'm a married woman now, and my first duty is to my husband. And even more important, to my child.
But to you what?
To my unborn child.
I'm going to be a grandfather?
No, I'm going to be a mother. Well, goodbye, Papa.
Here now, you come back here.
I'm sorry you'll never see the baby.
Emmy Lou.
Goodbye, Papa. Forever.
Emmy Lou. Well, stop her, somebody. Don't let her get away.
Now, take it easy, Colonel. She's made her choice.
Well, I've got to stop her, sir. The phone.
Colonel, I had the phone disconnected.
A Yankee conspiracy, sir. A foul plot.
I guess there's only one chance of ever seeing her again and straightening things out. That's to catch her before she leaves the lounge downstairs. But that's out of the question now, since you can't walk. So you're beaten, Colonel.
Sir, a Beauregard is never beaten, sir.
Why, it's no use, Colonel. You can't walk, and she's getting away.
I can walk, and I will walk, sir. There.
Why, you're only standing up. You'll never be able to make it to the elevator.
I'll need that robe. Now, stand out of my way. I warn you, don't lay a hand on me.
The great horn spoon. Jimmy, it worked.
He'll get down to that lounge if he has to walk over broken glass.
Down, son, and don't spare the horses.
Dr. Gillespie, a case like this always leaves me a little frightened about what we're working with every day. Human beings. I mean, where do you draw the line between mind and body?
You don't, Jimmy, you don't. It's the same old problem still with us. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yes. Pretty hard to imagine either one alone. Maybe they both come together. What do you think?
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Dr. Gillespie, Kildare, you can't possibly imagine what I just saw down in the lounge.
A helicopter.
Certainly not. It was that Southern Colonel, whatever his name is, and he was walking.
No.
Yes.
Did you hear what he said, Kildare?
Yes, but... Well, I know Dr. Carew has a reputation for sobriety and honesty.
Dr. Kildare, I have not been drinking.
Carew, was the Colonel by any chance riding a pogo stick?
He was not. He was walking. I tell you, I saw him.
Dr. Gillespie, Dr. Kildare, you better come down to the lounge right away.
What's the matter, Emmy Lou?
It's Papa.
Paralyzed again?
No, this time he only fainted.
Oh.
You see, he just found out something that gave him a terrible shock.
What do you mean?
Well, I introduced him to my husband, and you see, Richard's a northern boy.
Yeah?
His last name is Grant.
Oof.
You better bring some smelling salts.
Grant.
Never mind the smelling salts, Jimmy. The only thing that'll help the Colonel after that is a strong whiff of mountain mule.
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. This program was written by Les Crutchfield and directed by William P. Russo. Original music was composed and conducted by Walter Schumann. Supporting cast included Virginia Gregg, Ted Osborne, Bill Conrad, and Jane Webb. Dick Joy speaking.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We have more classic radio coming your way next.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
Whatsoever house I enter, there will I go for the benefit of the sick. Whatsoever things I see or hear concerning the life of men, I will keep silence thereon, counting such things to be held as sacred trusts. I will exercise my art solely for the...
The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer brought you those famous motion pictures. Now this exciting, heartwarming series is heard on radio. In just a moment, the story of Dr. Kildare. But first, your announcer. The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Blair General Hospital, one of the great citadels of American medicine. Clump of gray-white buildings planted deep in the heart of New York. A nerve center of medical progress where great minds and skilled hands wage man's everlasting battle against death or disease. Blair General Hospital, where life begins, where life ends, where life goes on.
Molly, have you seen Dr. Kildare anyplace?
No, I haven't, Dr. Gillespie.
Huh. He doesn't seem to be in the hospital. And he isn't out on an emergency either. I checked that. Wait a minute. Wait. I'll bet I know where he is. I'll bet I know just where he is. I thought I'd find you down here.
Oh, hello, Dr. Gillespie. Say, look at that big crane operate, will you? Isn't that something?
I should say it is. And look at the way those girders are being lifted up, just as though there weren't any... Jimmy Kildare, you have no business down here. You're on duty at the hospital, and no one at the hospital has known where to find you.
Well, I just walked down here for a minute to watch. Has anyone wanted me?
They certainly have.
Who?
Me.
You?
Yes, me. And when I want you, I'm supposed to be able to find you.
Yes, Doctor. There goes that crane again. Look at that.
You know, as long as I've been at the hospital, no one has had to go looking for me during working hours. And another thing...
Well. Here are my two naughty boys.
Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Drew.
Now, where should we be right this minute?
Come on, Kildare. I told you that you shouldn't
I
be...
hope you aren't teaching Dr. Kildare bad habits, Dr. Gillespie.
You hope I'm not?
Every time a new building has gone up anywhere in the neighborhood, Dr. Kildare, we've had the same trouble with Dr. Gillespie. He's like a big, overgrown boy. Can't keep away.
Oh, that's not true. That's ridiculous. I
Come
never...
on now, back to work. Come on.
So you've had this kind of trouble with Dr. Gillespie before, have you?
If I hadn't come along just when I did, heaven only knows how long he would have stood there.
Ah, pickles. You talk as though I were a delinquent minor.
Well, dear fellow, as head of the hospital, I must administer the scoldings as well as the pats on the head when they're needed.
Oh, Dr. Kildare, a patient just arrived for you. I put him in your office. Mr. Mallory.
Oh, thanks, Molly. I'll go right in.
Now, you stay at work, Dr. Kildare. Don't you let Dr. Gillespie lead you astray any longer.
Fiddle-dee-dee.
I'll do my best to keep Dr. Gillespie from leading me astray, Doctor.
That's a good fellow.
Oh, Mr. Mallory?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Dr. Kildare. Oh, sit down, won't you?
Oh, thanks.
Well, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, I haven't been feeling very good. My wife's been after me to come to a doctor.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, Haven't had much appetite. I get these pains in my stomach.
Severe pains?
Yeah, pretty bad.
When did they start?
Oh, about 3 weeks ago.
Have the pains become worse as time passed or remained about the same?
They've become worse. My wife kept taking my temperature, but I didn't have any. Then a few days ago, I got this sort of tingling sensation in my wrists and hands. It's gotten tougher and tougher for me to use them.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, I've been trying to go right on working, but the day before yesterday, I kept getting dizzy. I went home. Oh, I'm thirsty all the time, too.
I see. Well, Mr. Mallory, would you go in the next room over there and then undress? I want to examine you.
Yeah, sure.
And I'd like to have Dr. Gillespie examine you, too. He's a fine diagnostician.
Okay, whatever you say. Oh, my wife is sitting out in the waiting room. Would you tell her I'll be a little while yet?
Of course. Mrs. Mallory?
Yes.
Oh, I'm Dr. Kildare. Your husband's going to be a little while yet, and we're going to examine him.
Do you think it's anything serious, Doctor?
Oh, it's nothing for you to worry about. Tell me, what does your husband do?
He's a painter.
I see.
I wanted him to come to see a doctor before this, but he's so stubborn about things like that.
Have you noticed any change in his disposition lately?
Oh, I should say I have. He's been constantly irritable and depressed. Of course, he's been feeling so rotten.
Yes, I understand that.
The foreman called him in last week and told him he'd been making mistakes that had cost the company money. And, well, if he made any more, they were going to have to let him go.
Well, that's because of the way he's been feeling. That won't last. Where's he been working?
On the building project across the street.
Oh, yes. Oh, Dr. Gillespie, this is Mrs. Mallory.
How do you do, Doctor?
How do you do, Mrs. Mallory?
I wonder if you'd have a look at Mrs. Mallory's husband with me, Dr. Gillespie. I'd like your opinion.
I'd be glad to.
His abdominal pains are localized and relieved by deep pressure.
Mr. Mallory, will you open your mouth again, please?
Yeah. You see, there's absolutely no sign of any bluish line around his mouth and gums.
Certainly isn't. And that's what's astounding.
Oh, why, Dr. Gillespie?
Well, you have all the other indications of plumbism, but...
Plumbism? Lead poisoning. You say you're a painter, Mr. Mallory?
Yeah. Do you always wear a protective mask when you're spraying?
Yeah, I do.
Well, it may not be lead poisoning, of course. Mr. Mallory, suppose you spend the night in the hospital and take some blood tests.
Okay.
Now, by the way, what's your foreman's name?
Farrell. Sid Farrell.
Well, while you're taking the tests, I think I'll have a talk with him. He may be able to help us. Mr. Farrell, I'm Dr. Kildare from Blair General Hospital. This is Dr. Gillespie.
Well, how do you do? Well, what can I do for you? We're pretty busy here, as you can see.
Oh, won't keep you but a moment. We have one of your workmen under observation at the hospital.
Yeah? Well, what do you want me to do about it? Send him flowers?
We want a little help from you, Mr. Farrell. And unless you want to have a lot more of your workmen out sick, you better give us whatever help you can.
All right. Which one of the men is at the hospital?
There's a man named Gordon Mallory.
I might have known. Worst man on the job, always making mistakes.
Well, maybe he had a good reason for his mistakes.
Mistakes cost money. We haven't got time to nurse along anyone that can't do his job and do it right. I was going to pay him off at the end of the week anyhow.
If a man's ill, it isn't his fault if he don't do a good job.
Ill. That big bruiser? He could make two of most of the men working here.
Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Farrell. If Mallory has lead poisoning, which is what we think he has, then it may be your fault he's sick. A foreman's supposed to look out for the health of his men.
Look, Doctor, I'm very busy and I haven't got time to stand around chewing the fat about what my duties are. I know my job. It's to get this building finished. Your job is to take care of sick people. So you take care of Mallory and I'll take care of my business.
But don't you see, you should be taking preventive measures of some sort for the protection of your other workmen.
My workmen are all right. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work. Hey, watch where you swing that crane.
Come on, Jimmy. We aren't going to accomplish anything here.
I guess you're right.
Now, what do I see here? I thought we were on our honor to stay at our jobs.
We're down here on a case, Carew. One of the workmen's in the hospital.
Oh, well, of course, that puts a slightly different face on the matter.
And while we're on the subject, what are you doing down here?
Oh, I was just passing by. Just passing by.
I think that whole building project could bear a little investigation.
Dr. Kildare, please. Not on hospital time.
I'll bet you anything you care to name that before the week is over, we get some more of those workmen in the hospital. Farrell doesn't give 2 cents for the welfare of anyone.
I'm afraid you're right. I wonder if Mallory does have lead poisoning.
We should learn that from those blood tests tomorrow.
Doctor, I thought you'd never come. I got so nervous when they phoned and said you wanted me to come over.
Oh, sit down, Mrs. Mallory. There's nothing to be upset about.
No, your husband's going to be all right.
Now, we have found out that your husband does have lead poisoning.
Oh?
It's a chronic type, which has developed over a long period of time.
Can you cure it?
Oh, sure. Of course we can. We simply put him through a process of diet and treatment that removes the lead.
Diet?
Yeah. You see, food with a calcium content helps retain the storage of lead in the bones. So we'll put him on a high phosphorus diet, and that'll help him get rid of it. He'll have the things like meat and liver and potatoes, rice and bananas. Oh, it's not a difficult diet. And then, of course, certain medications. He's going to have to stay in the hospital for 3 or 4 weeks, so.
3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah. It seems like a long time to you, but it is necessary.
Well, it's just that financially things have been a little difficult for us. But we'll manage.
Huh.
Doctor, how did he get it?
Haven't been able to figure that out yet. I do believe that the construction company is responsible for your husband's illness, and yet he said he did have his mask on all the time, and that should have given him adequate protection.
Yes, a real puzzler, all right.
Yes.
There's an emergency case in the receiving room, Dr. Kildare. One of the workers from the building project.
What happened?
I don't know. They said he suddenly was seized with convulsions. He's delirious now.
Oh, come on. Well, this man has a bluish line along his gum margins, all right. Look at that.
Yeah. This is an acute case of lead poisoning, all right.
I'll inject magnesium sulfate right away.
I have it right here, Doctor.
Thank you, Molly. Now, if you'll clean a spot right along this vein.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. There. That should quiet him. Now, then, I want him to have lavage with 1% sodium sulfate, egg albumin drinks, and calcium gluconate intramuscularly.
Yes, Doctor.
By the way, what does this man do on a construction job?
They said he's a welder.
Welder?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't add up. Well, let's go back down to that building project and have another talk with the foreman. And this time, let's inspect the whole place. We've got to find out what's happening to those men, and Farrell or no one else is going to stop us.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. The story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Look, I don't know what you two doctors have got against me. But whatever it is, I haven't got time to play games with you. I'm working against time as it is. We're already behind schedule on this business, and you keep coming down here and interrupting me all
Now, see here, Mr. Farrell, you've got a job to do. Okay, so have we. But 2 men from this outfit are in the hospital with lead poisoning, and it's our job to find out why. And also to see that more of them don't end up the same way.
Watson didn't look too good when I took him on the job. I shouldn't have hired him. I can't understand you, Mr. Farrell.
Why don't you want to help your man?
I haven't got any more time to waste talking, Doctor. Whatever your name is.
Do you realize that Watson might have died? In fact, he would have died if science hadn't only recently discovered antidotes for poisoning of this sort. Before, in cases like his, when a man had convulsions and delirium, he died within a few days. Watson has the cerebral form of plummism.
All right. What do you want me to do about it?
We want to inspect the places where both Mallory and Watson work.
I'm not going to have you walking around bothering my men.
We won't bother anyone. We simply want a chance to observe their working conditions.
No, I'm not going to start anything like that.
Mr. Farrell, if you don't permit us to inspect this building, we're going to take the case to the State Board of Health and have them inspect it.
There's nothing going on here that would concern the Board of Health.
I'm sorry, but we think there is.
All right. Look around if you want to. Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Farrell?
Show these two gentlemen over the whole layout, will you?
Now, there's the paint shop, Doctor.
Oh, this is where Mallory works, huh?
That's right.
Men are wearing protective masks, all right.
Well, they have to. The company wouldn't let a man work without a mask.
Oh, lunchtime, huh?
Well, for some of the men, it's a rush job. They only take 30 minutes for lunch in shifts.
These men eat right here on the spot, do they?
Yeah. They don't lose any time that way.
Wow. It's hot down here, isn't it? What are those men doing?
They burn the rivet holes.
Oh, yes. This is where Watson worked.
Huh.
How can they sit here and eat in all this heat?
Oh, they get used to it.
They certainly must. I couldn't take it for very long. Well, come on, let's get out of here.
Well, I didn't come up with much from there, did I? Working conditions seem pretty fair, except for those fast lunches. But eating a fast lunch wouldn't give a man lead poisoning.
No, it certainly wouldn't, but something did, and that's what we've got to find out.
There's a wide difference between Watson's case and Mallory's.
Yes, Watson had lead encephalopathy, caused by excessive exposure to fumes. His case is acute. Mallory's isn't.
Mallory wore a mask.
Yes, and that mask should have protected him completely. Now, what about Watson? Well, let's go up and see him as soon as we get back. He ought to be improved enough by now to be able to talk to us. How do you feel, Mr. Watson?
Wow. What hit me?
Lead.
Somebody throw it at me?
No. You did this yourself.
You crazy. You don't think I'd slip myself up, Mickey, do you?
Well, you did, son.
Pretty hot where you work, isn't it?
Yeah, but you get used to it.
How do you feel now?
I'm a little unsteady. I got the doggonest metallic taste in my mouth.
Oh, well, that'll pass. How long you been working on this job?
Oh, about a month.
Where'd you work before?
I just wound up a job in Brooklyn.
You did the same sort of work over there, huh?
Yeah. Burned rivet hose. That was a rush job, too. No kidding. Tell me, what happened to me?
Well, I can't tell you. You've had a pretty severe attack of lead poisoning. You see, you were constantly exposed to the fumes of burned red lead. Of course, you were only wearing a welder's hood, and those fumes were what caused your attack.
Well, I guess that'll teach me. What happens to me now?
Well, you'll stay here in the hospital for a short period of treatment. But you'll be all right. Well, we've got a buddy of yours here for the same job.
Yeah, I know. Mallory. Nice guy.
In a day or so, we'll put you both in the same room so you can have someone to talk to.
Thanks. I like that.
Now, you rest. Take it easy. We'll be back to see you a little later.
Oh, here you are. We have another case from the building project.
Another case?
An emergency?
No, this one walked in under his own steam. I put him in your office, Dr. Gillespie. His name's Farrell.
Oh, that hurts.
Pressure hurts, does it?
After you left, I got hold of a book on lead poisoning and read up on it. It'd be pretty serious at that, can't it?
It's a very serious matter, Mr. Farrell.
What are you going to do about me?
I don't know. What do you suggest, Dr. Gillespie?
I've been turning the matter over in my mind, Dr. Kildare.
You'll have to put me through that de-leading process, won't you?
I don't think that would help in your case. Do you, Dr. Gillespie?
No, I'm afraid not, Dr. Kildare.
You mean nothing can be done to help me?
None of the antidotes for lead poisoning will do a thing.
Why not?
Because you don't have lead poisoning.
I don't?
No.
But I've got all the symptoms. Acute abdominal pains, weakness, dizziness.
Those are also the symptoms of acute indigestion, Mr. Farrell. And that's all that's wrong with you.
Acute indigestion?
You got a bellyache, Mr. Farrell.
You're sure of that?
Positive. Now, put on your clothes. We want to have a little talk with you. Mr. Farrell, fortunately, both of your men are getting well. With a little cooperation from you, I think we can prevent any more of them from becoming sick. If you've been reading about lead poisoning, you know how serious it is.
Yes. You know, I must admit I owe both of you doctors an apology.
Now, Mr. Mallory has a temporary paralysis in his wrists and hands, but as soon as the de-leading process is completed, he'll be given massage and exercise, and he should recover pretty quickly.
Do you know what caused Mallory's illness? It couldn't have been the fumes because he wore a mask.
Well, that's right. It was quite a problem to Dr. Kildare and myself, but we finally figured it out. Mallory ate his lunch right where he worked. While he was eating, other men were spraying. Over a long period of time, he was exposed to the gradual amounts of fumes and absorbed enough to cause the poisoning.
Well, did this just happen on my job?
No. This happened over a period of about 3 years. Mallory always ate close to the job. It never occurred to him not to.
Well, I'll talk to all the men about it right away.
Now, Watson's case is a little different. He was overcome by the fumes from the burned paint, and his illness is much more serious than Mallory's. Absorbed lead is transferred in the bloodstream and may be found in the liver, the spleen, the kidneys. It's a great threat to the tissues. We have to force the bones to store the lead in order to prevent damage to the brain tissues.
Can you do that?
Yes. It's a little complicated to explain, but we can. We'll be able to help both men.
Well, what can I do for the protection of my workmen?
Well, for one thing, you can see that any men you hire are given a physical to find out whether they've already absorbed any lead in their systems, because if they have, then you're running the risk of lead poisoning.
I see.
And you should insist that all your men be examined regularly every 3 months. Tell them always to drink a lot of milk.
Well, I sure will. No, I never realized my men were in any real danger. I didn't want to baby them, but... Well, I'll watch out for this now. I promise you that.
I'm sure you will, Mr. Farrell.
And we'll be round to see that you do, Mr. Farrell. Not to check up on you, really, but frankly... We'd like an excuse to come down and watch the work. It's fascinating.
From now on, you're more than welcome. So long.
Yes, bye. Well, he turned out to be a pretty good Joe after all, didn't he?
He certainly did, after we scared him to death.
Come in.
Is this a private discussion, or can anybody get in?
Anybody can get in if their name happens to be Molly Bird.
I've made all the arrangements to have Mr. Watson moved in with Mr. Mallory.
Good.
And Mrs. Mallory just went up to see her husband.
Well, that's fine, Molly, fine. Kildare, have you any more patients to see?
Not for about an hour. Why?
Well, why don't we go into conference over a checkerboard?
Well, you'll be perfectly safe. Dr. Carew won't catch you.
What makes you so positive?
He's down watching the building project.
What? Carew down watching the building project?
He certainly is.
After all the lectures he gave us. Well, what do you know? Kildare, why don't we join Dr. Carew?
I was just about to suggest that, Dr. Gillespie. Come on, let's see what our leader is doing with that king-size tinker toy.
In just a moment, we will return to the story of Dr. Kildare. once again the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres as Dr. Kildare and Lionel Barrymore as Dr. Gillespie.
Well, Dr. Carew, what a surprise to find you here.
Yes, we didn't know you were interested in things like this.
Oh, you dear fellows. Well, I'm not really here, you know.
You're not really here.
You mean it's not our leader we see, but a mirage?
No, I mean I'm not really here. I'm just passing by on my way to the hospital. That's where I really am. Oh, on my way to the hospital.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes. Well, that makes everything perfectly clear, doesn't it, Dr. Kildare?
Now, see here. You boys don't think for a moment that I'd come down here when I should be at the hospital, do you?
Oh. Oh, no, indeed.
Oh, look at that train go. Isn't that something?
It certainly is.
Biggest crane I've ever seen. That really is something.
You know, when I was a boy, I was one, you know. That's the kind of job I wanted to do.
Do you know, Dr. Carew, we all did.
I think you're right.
And it's because of the boy each of us was and still is inside that we're down here right now.
You may be right, Dr. Gillespie.
Oh, he is right. That's exactly the right diagnosis, Doctor. Exactly the right diagnosis.
You have just heard the story of Dr. Kildare, starring Lou Ayres and Lionel Barrymore. This program was written by Gene Holloway and directed by William P. Russo. Original music was composed and conducted by Walter Schumann. Supporting cast included Eleanor Audley, Ted Osborne, Dick Simmons, Tony Barrett, Jack Petruzzi, and Lillian Baeff. Dick Joy speaking.
Our next broadcast is a radio mystery drama which ran from May 16th, 1942 until September 27th, 1955 on CBS Radio Network. The show was also broadcast in Chicago and over Armed Forces Radio. On the West Coast, it was sponsored by the Signal Oil Company. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil program. The program was also adapted into a film noir series by Columbia Pictures in 1944. Each episode began with the sound of footsteps and a person whistling. The haunting signature theme tune was composed by Wilbert Hatch and featured Dorothy Roberts whistling with an orchestra. We present to you The Whistler on HOJO Radio.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of The Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
I was with Danny when it happened, but I couldn't hang on to him. He ran off and left me, and I've been looking for him ever since.
That was Captain Fowler. Something had happened to his friend Danny.
I ain't going to no doctor at this time of the night. Tomorrow maybe, but I'm not going tonight.
That was Danny. Danny knew something had happened to him, but he didn't know what it was.
But, Danny, you couldn't have done a thing like that. I know. Don't worry, Danny.
That was Faye, Danny's girlfriend. And this is Joe Rodriguez, a fisherman.
It's much better that I leave town, Danny. If I stay, I might forget I am your friend.
Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. And so I tell you tonight the strange story of fog.
Well, Danny, my boy, this is the thickest fog I've seen in this harbor in many a year. And I've been a sailorman for a long time.
Yeah, that's right, Captain. Can't see a single light along the entire waterfront. But we don't need light for where we're going. I know the way to the anchor pool room.
Yeah, I know, too. Hey, Danny, you didn't bring your gun, did you?
Sure I did. Why?
Now, wait a minute. I'm not going to let you talk to Duke Moran with a gun in your pocket.
Why not, Captain?
Well, you might lose your temper and do something you'd regret.
What's the matter with you, Cap? I ain't going to shoot anybody. I just want it in case Duke Moran gets tough.
Oh, sure. I know, but if he gets tough, you can handle him with your fist.
Sure. Unless he tried to slip a knife through my ribs.
Well...
don't worry about the gun, Captain. I won't lose my head.
So Danny and Captain Fowler continue on their way toward the anchor pool room, Duke Moran's usual hangout, where Danny intends to have a showdown with Moran. But the captain is worried about Danny's gun, for he knows that Danny hates Moran to the core of his being.
Now, look, son, I hate to keep bringing this up, but, I wouldn't go storming up to the Duke and start raising the devil.
He borrowed money from me, and he ain't kept his word about paying it back.
I know, my boy, but he'll pay it back.
No, he won't. He's planning to skip town and leave me holding the sack.
Now, look, you're working for me, Danny, and you're my best friend. And I'm going along to back up your claims because I was a witness when the loan was made. But look here, I don't want to see you in no trouble.
Oh, I'll take it easy. But I can tell you one thing.
Hey, look up for that hydrant. Look up. Danny, you're hurt. Here. Let me help you.
No.
There. That's it now. Easy does it. Up now. There we are. Nasty spill. You just sit here for a bit. You took a real header.
Huh?
How do you feel, Danny? Yeah, better let me see if you cut yourself.
Keep your hands off me. Who are you?
What?
What is this, a stick-up?
Danny, are you kidding?
Go away. Get away or I'll call the cops.
Why? But Danny, you're out of your head.
Get away.
But don't you know me?
Let me alone.
Oh, come back here. No, don't go away. Come back. Danny!
Danny breaks away and quickly disappears into the fog. For a quarter of an hour, Captain Fowler searches the vicinity and finally hurries on to the anchor pool room.
Hey, any of you guys here in the pool room seen Danny Price?
Oh, hello there, Cap. No, I haven't seen Danny.
Neither have I, Cap. Don't think he's been around.
Oh, I see. Well, is Duke Moran here?
The Duke? He was here a minute ago. Where'd he go, George?
Out in the alley, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Some guy opened the back door and called him.
Some guy... Oh.
Uh-huh.
Well, tell me, was it Danny?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Captain. We didn't pay no attention to who it was.
Oh, I see. Well, okay, boys. Thanks.
Later that night, groping his way along the waterfront, Captain Fowler arrives at the box office of the Crystal Motion Picture Theater. An attractive girl is selling tickets.
Hello, Faye.
Well, hello there, Captain. Going to the show?
Oh, no, not tonight, Faye. I'm looking for Danny. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't. And I'm sore at that big lug, too. He promised faithfully he'd be here to take me home, and it's time to close the box office right now.
Look, Faye, I don't want to excite you, but I got to tell you something. Danny's had an accident.
An accident?
Yeah. He fell down on the street. He tripped over a fire hydrant, and when he got up, you know what happened? He couldn't remember nothing. He was walking around someplace in a daze.
Good heavens.
Yes, I was with him when it happened, but I couldn't hang on to him. He ran off and left me, and I've been looking for him ever since.
Would you tell the police?
No.
Well, for heaven's sake, tell them, Captain. Maybe they can find him.
No, Faye,
I don't want to tell the cops.
Why not?
There's a certain reason, and I don't want to talk about it here.
Look, you wait here till I check in the cash. It'll only take a few minutes. I'll be right with you.
All right, Fay.
All right, Captain, now tell me. Why didn't you notify the police?
Because Danny's got a gun on him.
Oh.
Yes. He was on his way to see Duke Moran. You know, about that money.
Yes.
And he was afraid the Duke might start something.
I see. You say you've been looking for Danny?
Yes, I've been everywhere. Been to the casino, over to the bowling alley.
Have you been to Fred's Cafe?
Why, no.
Well, Danny goes there for coffee sometimes.
Well, all right. We'll take a look. Fred's Cafe, why, it's in the next block, ain't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, Fay, we got to find that kid. He's like a crazy man. You know what he did? He looked me right in the face and he didn't know me.
Oh, my goodness. Captain, suppose his memory never does come back.
Oh, no, Fay, don't carry on like that. And don't you start worrying. Yeah,
Oh.
I know how you feel. You and Danny engaged to be married and all, but don't you worry. I think everything will turn out all right.
Oh, I hope so.
Hey, wait!
Listen.
What's your hurry, folks?
That's Danny.
Well, sure it is.
You going to a fire or something? I've been chasing you for a block.
Oh, Danny.
Hiya, Fay.
Oh, Danny, you're all right.
Oh, sure. Sure, I'm all right. Except I'm kind of mixed up. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in the Clark Hotel. And I don't remember going there at all.
The Clark Hotel?
Yeah.
Well, so that's where you been.
Well, it seems to me I was walking along with you, Cap.
Of course you were, Danny. Don't you know what happened? You had a lapse of memory.
Huh?
Yeah, we've been worried to death about you. The captain and I were looking for you. Oh, Danny, I'm so glad you're all right.
Oh, so I've been off my noggin.
Sure. Don't you remember falling over that fire hydrant?
Fire hydrant?
Yes, that's what did it, Danny. When I helped you up, you thought I was a stick-up man. You ran off down the street.
Well, I'll be darned. How long ago did this happen, Cap?
Well, it's been an hour ago or more. You've been in the Clark Hotel all that time.
Well, how should I know?
When did you come to your senses, Danny?
Well, just now. I'm sitting there in the lobby wondering what it's all about when I seen you folks passing the window.
Oh, swell. But look, Danny boy, you're going to a doctor right away.
What do you mean, doctor?
Well, your head, you must have struck it when you fell.
Oh, my head's all right.
Oh, now, please, don't put up an argument, Danny.
Oh, now, look. Hey, here comes an ambulance. Maybe I better flag it down and call in.
Oh, now, don't be smart.
Wait a minute. That's no ambulance. Well, it's a police car.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, come on, never mind the police car. Danny, come over here under the light. Let me take a look at your head.
Oh, now, look, Fay, I tell you there's nothing wrong
Hey,
with
hey, look. You see where that car's stopping?
Huh?
Over in front of the Anchor pool room.
Yeah? Well, wonder what's happened there.
Well, I don't know.
Well, forget it.
No. I want to find out what's going on.
Yeah, so do I.
Come on, Danny, let's go over and see.
All right, you people, get back now. Don't block the doorway.
Hey, what's happened, officer?
The guy's been killed. Shot.
Yeah?
Yeah. They just found his body out in back of the pool hall.
Who was he? Do you know?
Yeah, Duke Moran.
Duke Moran murdered, killed on the very night that you, Danny, with hatred in your heart and a gun in your pocket, were on your way to demand your money. Could it be that after your mind went blank, you continued on to the Anchor pool room? Look at your gun, Danny. If no shots have been fired, you're all in the clear.
Did I kill him? Did I kill him? Did I kill him?
Come on, Danny, let's go.
Well, how do you like that? A guy gets bumped off owing me $100.
Yep, and you can kiss that dough goodbye.
And how?
Captain, who do you suppose killed Moran?
Well, how should I know? Didn't have any enemies that I know of. Except Danny.
What do you mean, except Danny? I wasn't the guy's enemy. I just wanted my money back, that's all.
Sure, I know.
You know what?
That you just wanted your money back. What are you getting so excited about?
Hey, boys, let's not walk down this way. There's no doctor in this direction.
Oh, Fay, will you let up on that doctor thing? I tell you, there's nothing wrong with my head.
How do you know?
Well, anyhow, I ain't going to no doctor at this time of the night. Tomorrow, maybe. My head starts aching or something.
Is that a promise?
Oh, okay, that's a promise.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah?
You know, I went to that pool hall right after you disappeared. I thought maybe I'd find you there.
Yeah? Was I there?
No, you wasn't. I asked about Moran, and they said he'd just gone out in the alley. Somebody opened the back door and called him.
Why, Captain, you must have been there just before the murder.
Sure looks like it. I'm sorry now I didn't go out and back and see who Moran was with.
It's a shame you didn't.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, I've been wondering...
All right, go ahead and say it. It was me that called him out and back. It was me that killed him.
Why, Danny!
Well, that's what he's thinking, Fay. I can see it sticking out all over him.
Danny, you mustn't say that.
He knows I've been out of my head for an hour. Can't remember a thing, so now he's trying to pin a crime on me.
Shut up, you fool. Shut up. Why should I want to pin a crime on you?
That's what I'd like to know.
What if you did kill Moran? I'm not holding it against you. You couldn't be blamed. You was off your nut.
Well, I didn't kill him.
How do you know?
I didn't. I know I didn't.
Yes, but how do you know?
Oh, Captain, use your head. Danny lost his memory, and that includes his memory of Moran and his grudge against Moran and everything.
Sure. So now what do you got to say?
Well, maybe that grudge was in the back of your mind, Danny. Even while your memory wasn't working.
You see, Fay, he's bound to make out I did it.
Oh, no such thing. But look here, if you was mixed up in this murder, Danny, it's up to me to help you. I'm your friend. And I gotta find out about it, Danny. Let me see your gun.
Huh?
Let me see your gun.
Oh, the devil with you.
Let him see it, Danny. That'll settle everything.
Sure he can see it. There you are, Captain.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah. The barrel smells of powder.
Oh, you're crazy.
And 2 slugs have been fired, Danny. Look here.
All right, so the gun's been fired. And that means I killed Moran, I suppose. You're crazy, I tell you.
He's right, Captain. That gun doesn't prove a thing. He might have fired those shots anywhere for no reason at all.
Sure, I've been out of my head, ain't I?
Don't you worry, Danny boy. You didn't kill Moran.
Of course I didn't.
You couldn't have done a thing like that. Not even in a trance. So don't worry. Everything's going to be all right. Don't worry, Danny, darling.
Poor Fay. She doesn't believe her own brave talk. Deep down in her heart, she's afraid that Danny is a killer. It is nearly midnight now. Danny and Captain Fowler have returned to their boat, the fishing boat Dolphin, in the harbor. Danny sits on the deck, gazing morosely into the fog.
Well, hadn't you better turn in, kid? You ought to get some sleep.
Oh, I couldn't sleep. Stick here a minute, will you, Cap? I'd like to talk to you.
Sure.
Sorry I blew my top the way I did when we was ashore.
Oh, that's all right, Danny.
I know you was thinking of my interest when you asked to see the gun.
Sure I was.
All kidding aside, it looks pretty much like I bumped off Moran, doesn't it, Cap?
Well, Danny, to be honest with you, it does. Still, there's room for doubt. And if I was you, I'd lay low and say nothing.
And I know one thing. I could never be convicted of murder, even if I did do it.
Why not?
Because I was suffering from amnesia.
Yeah. The trouble is, how are we going to prove that?
How are we going to prove it? Well, couldn't you prove it? You was there when it happened. You saw me go slug nutty.
Sure, but who's going to believe me? I'm your friend. They'd think I was lying to save your neck.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The things look pretty bad then, don't they?
Ah, now, look, Danny. Don't go hanging yourself in advance. You know, maybe it's like Fay said. Maybe you just happened to fire them shots.
Hey, listen. I hear a motorboat.
Well, so what?
It's coming this way. Hear it?
Well... Sure, I hear it.
It's the cops. They're coming here to ask questions.
Oh.
I'm getting out of here, Captain.
No, you keep your shirt on. I'll hail the boat and find out who it is. Now, you wait right here. Ahoy there! Ahoy! Who is it?
It's me, Joe Rodriguez.
Oh. Hey, well, Danny, it's only Portuguese Joe.
What's he doing out here at this time of night?
Well, I don't know.
Here is my line, Captain. You make me fast. I'm coming aboard.
Okay, Joe.
How'd you know we'd be up this late?
Yeah.
I just took a chance, Danny. But I am glad you are up.
Oh, don't tell me you ran out of live bait again.
Oh, no. I got plenty live bait.
Oh? What can we do for you, Joe?
Captain, I got a little business proposition I would like to talk over with Danny. And I would like to talk to him private.
Private?
Oh, now, wait a minute. Anything you got to say to me, you can say in front of the captain.
No, Danny. This is private. Very private.
Oh, see, well, that's okay, kid. I'll go below. I was about to turn in anyway.
Thank you, Captain.
Oh, don't keep him up too long, Joe. You need some sleep.
I'll just be a few minutes, Captain. Good night.
Good night.
Well, what's on your mind?
Danny, I'm fed up with East Town. Business is rotten here. I want to go to Seattle.
Yeah?
And I need a little money, Danny. $200. And I want for Joe should let me have it.
Are you kidding?
Ain't you got $200?
Sure. Sure I have, but I'm getting married in a few days. I need every cent I've got.
Oh, yeah? The sweet young lady who works at the Crystal Theater, huh? You'll be very happy with her, Danny.
You bet I will.
But you'll be much more happy if you give me the money so I can get out of town, Danny.
What do you mean?
I am your friend, Danny, and I do not wish to cause you any trouble. But I know something about you that nobody else in this world knows. Not one soul.
Yeah?
Yeah. Tonight I am in an alley, behind the Anchor pool room. There is much fog, but I can see a little bit because there is a light. I see you shoot to Maran. Twice. To the heart.
You're a dirty liar.
So, you see, Danny, it's much better I should leave town. If I stay here, I might get drunk someday and forget I am your friend. I might talk, Danny.
You climb in that boat of yours and get back to shore. Go on or I'll throw you overboard.
You come to see me tomorrow, huh? Before noon? If you don't come by noon, well, maybe I get drunk, huh?
Cap, you awake?
Yes, Danny.
Well, there's no room for doubt now. I'm the guy that did it.
What? How do you know?
Portuguese Joe was an eyewitness. He was there in the alley, saw the whole thing.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
That's right, Cap. The dirty rat came out here to blackmail me. Tried to shake me down for $200. Said I'd have to dig it up by tomorrow noon or he'd start talking.
Well, I'll be darned. Kid, I guess it's time we started doing some fast thinking.
Now, that ain't necessary, Cap. I'm clearing out tonight.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Don't get panicky now. Now, let's give it some thought.
Oh, no, I'm on my way, Cap. No fooling.
Where are you going?
I don't know, but I'm going for good. I won't be back.
You won't be? Oh, now, look here. What about Faye? What about your wedding?
Well, that's just a broken dream, Cap.
Oh, Danny. Well, at least you're going to see her before you go, ain't you?
No.
Well, Danny, what's the matter with you? It ain't fair of you to run out on Faye.
It's the fairest thing in the world. Why prolong the agony? There's got to be a clean break.
Oh, but Faye's such a grand kid, and she'll wait for you. Faye's loyal. Yes, sir, Danny. After this thing blows over, you'll find Faye right here waiting for you.
I don't want her to wait for me, and I ain't coming back. Can't you understand that? You think I'd marry Faye now? Me, a killer?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I love that girl. I wouldn't bring disgrace on her. And it would be disgrace even if I cleared myself of the charge. I'd still be a killer.
Yeah, I guess you would. Well, I guess there's no use talking to you. You won't listen to a word I say.
No, Cap. I've made up my mind. I'm going to pack my grip now and go ashore.
Golly, kid, I sure hate to lose you.
Yeah, I hate to go, too, Cap. You've been a prince to me. More like a brother than a boss.
Well, all I can say is thanks, Danny.
Even when you knew I was saving up my money to buy a boat of my own, to go into competition with you, you never said a word.
Well, why should I? Oh, this is a free country. Every man has a right to advance himself.
And, about Faye, I wish you'd explain to her. You know what to say.
Well, I'm not quite as good a talker as you are, Danny, but I'll try.
You know something, Cap? I wish you and Faye'd get married. I know you'd make her happy.
Me and Faye? Oh, no, she wouldn't have me.
Don't be too sure about that. She'll forget about me after a while. But explain things to her, will you?
Well, okay, Danny. I'll try. I'll do my best.
Well, I'm going to hit the first freight train out of town. So long, Captain.
Danny, wait a minute.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Oh, Danny, I'm so glad I saw you. I was about to get a boat and go out to the Dolphin.
Yeah?
I've got some wonderful news for you.
What?
At least I think I have. What caliber is your revolver?
Well, it's a .38.
I thought so. Danny, you didn't kill him. You didn't kill Moran. 45.
Huh?
Yeah. I just came from the police hospital. They took the bullets from Moran's body. They were bullets from a .45.
Oh, no. No, that can't be right.
It is right, Danny.
Oh, there's some mistake, honey. Look, I hadn't figured on telling you this, but there was an eyewitness to the murder. Portuguese Joe, the bait peddler. He'd just been out to the boat trying to shake me down for some hush money.
Well, he's a liar if he says you did it.
Oh, no, honey, you got a bum steer about them bullets.
I didn't, I tell you. I got it straight from the doctor. What's more, I've been to the Clark Hotel. The clerk said you were there for practically an hour, sitting by the window. That means you went there right after you left the captain, so you couldn't have been to the pool room.
I'll be darned. Now, look, Faye, suppose you go out to the Dolphin. Here, take this quick. Tell the captain what you just told me. And tell him I'm paying a visit to Portuguese Joe right now.
Yes. Just 1 minute. Who is it? Who's there?
It's me, Danny.
Oh. Well, I wasn't expecting you so soon, Danny. You could just as well have come in the morning.
I wanted to get this thing settled.
Sure. Have you got any money?
Joe, you didn't see me shoot Moran.
Nah, Danny, I hope you're not going to put up no argument.
You lied to me, and I'm here to get the truth.
Now, look, Danny.
Come on, admit it. You lied to me, didn't you?
No.
No, you sure did.
Let me go. Let me go.
I'll choke the living daylights out of you, you rat. Come on, tell me you lied.
Yes, I lied to you.
I thought so.
Let me go now.
Sure, I'll let you go. But you're going to come clean. You're going to give me the lowdown on this whole rotten business. Come on now, start talking.
Yeah.
The fog has lifted now, and the eastern sky heralds the approach of dawn. As Danny returns to the Dolphin, he finds Faye standing on the deck.
Hey, Danny, I thought you'd never get back. It's almost daylight.
Well, I had a long ways to go, honey. Joe lives way out at the end of the Channel Street Wharf. That's where his bait shack is.
Well, what'd you find out? Did you face him with his lie?
I sure did. Is the captain in his cabin?
No, he's not. He's, gone ashore.
Gone ashore?
Danny, there's something wrong with the captain. He's been acting very queerly.
Yeah?
When I told him you'd gone to see Portuguese Joe, his face went as white as a sheet. Then he went over to his desk and wrote a note. Sealed it in an envelope and told me to give it to you when you come back.
I'll bet I know what's in it.
What?
A confession. But I won't need it now. I got one from Joe.
What do you mean?
Honey, the captain's been framing me.
Framing you?
Yeah, that's right. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Remember he said he didn't go out and back of the pool hall to see who it was that called Moran out in the alley?
Yes.
Well, he lied. He did go out there, and he saw the murder committed. He knew who did it.
Why, Danny.
And right then, he got a bright idea. He figured he'd make me believe I committed that murder. So I'd take it on the lam. Get out of town. You see, honey?
Well, why would he do that?
Because he was in love with you.
What?
Our wedding day was getting closer, and the captain was half crazy with jealousy. He wanted me out of the picture so that he could marry you.
Oh, Danny, I can't believe that.
It's true, honey. Joe told me. I'd have got a lot more out of Joe, too, only he broke loose from me and dived into the water. Last I seen of him, he was swimming away.
Well, what about the murder? Did you find out who killed Moran?
I got a hunch that Joe himself did it. After he left, I looked around his shack. And I found an IOU there signed by the Duke.
You did? Then the Duke owed Portuguese Joe money, too.
Yep. And I figured the captain made Joe a proposition. If Joe'd come here and make me believe I was the killer, the captain wouldn't squeal on it.
Sure, Danny. That makes sense.
Well, I better see what the captain wrote.
Yeah. Open it up, Danny.
Dear Danny, I suppose you know everything by now. I haven't got the nerve to face you, kid, so I'll be the one to hit the freight. You won't need to save any more money for that boat. I've signed over the Dolphin to you. You'll find the papers in my desk. Good luck, Danny, and make Fay a good husband.
Yes, the captain was the villain in our story. But wait, what about Danny's gun with the 2 empty shells? That doesn't fit into our solution at all. Or does it? Remember when the captain and Danny were on their way to the pool hall and Danny stumbled over the hydrant? The fog was pretty thick, you know. The captain didn't have a bit of trouble in slipping that gun out of Danny's pocket. He wanted to make sure Danny didn't use it on Moran. And later, after the captain had formulated his plot against Danny, it was a simple matter for him to fire a couple of shots from the gun and then slip it back into Danny's pocket when he met Fay and Danny on the street. Yes, the fog sometimes has its advantages.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Tonight's Whistler story was written by Herbert Connor, directed by J. Donald Wilson, and originated from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, same time, 9:15.
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you the unusual story of jealousy. Good night.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
Wait a minute. Have you heard the strange tales of the Whistler?
I'm the Whistler.
I don't know what it is. It's a figure. I can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. It comes through the door and walks with outstretched arms toward my bed, reaching for me.
Sunday night, and again CBS presents The Whistler.
I, the Whistler, know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, many secrets hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak. And so I tell you the weird tale of jealousy. At the edge of the cliff overlooking the sea sits a gray stone mansion, weather-beaten by the storms of several decades. To this mansion, Gilbert Durant brought his bride, Lucia. That was 4 years ago. Gilbert and Lucia were quite happy until last year when Lucia's half-sister, Beverly, came to live with them. And gradually, something began to happen. At first, Lucia realized that Gilbert's ardor was beginning to cool. He became more absorbed in his writing. Then she felt the cold clamminess of the stone structure almost creep about her and clutch her. Fear grew in her mind, a fear that nearly took her breath. It is evening now, and Lucia, having excused herself at dinner, tosses on her bed in a fretful sleep.
No. No. Don't. Get away from me. Ah! No. What's wrong? Benson, come in.
What was wrong? Why were you screaming?
Benson, I must have been dreaming. It was horrible.
I know white as a ghost. You're shaking like a leaf.
Yes, I know. Oh, Mrs. Benson, I can't stand it. It's driving me mad. That makes the fourth or fifth time I've dreamed the same thing. The same thing in every detail.
I've never heard you scream before.
It always comes a little closer to me. Tonight, it almost reached me.
It? What do you mean?
I don't know what it is. It's a figure. A human figure. But I can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. It comes through that door and walks slowly across the room with its arms outstretched, reaching for me.
Are you sure you were dreaming?
Oh, now that I think of it, it isn't like a dream. An ordinary dream. Its reality seems to carry over even after I'm awake.
Oh, that's what's made you so ill.
This dream, if it is a dream, means something? Is that what you think? It's a premonition?
Perhaps.
What time is it?
9 o'clock.
Where's Gilbert?
Your husband went horseback riding over an hour ago. Your sister went with him.
Beverly? Why didn't he ask me to go?
Well, you know you hadn't been feeling very well lately.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Well, if you're feeling better, I'll go back to my room.
Oh, yes, I'll be all right. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
Beverly. Gilbert and Beverly.
Lucia lies for a while, staring wild-eyed at the patch of moonlight on the bedroom door, and finally she drops off to sleep. Then as the clock strikes 10:30, the door opens slowly, silently. A figure steps into the room and moves noiselessly through the moonlight to Lucia's bed and stands staring at her. Suddenly Lucia opens her eyes.
Gilbert, don't.
Lucia, what's wrong with you?
What are you doing in my room?
Why, I just wanted to know how you felt.
How long have you been standing there?
Oh, just a few seconds.
Oh, I was dreaming, I guess. And when I woke up, you startled me.
Why were you yelling, don't?
I don't know. I haven't the slightest idea.
I talked to Dr. Hanby about you today. Told him you were run down, and he suggested I get a tonic for you. I'll drop in at the drugstore on my way home tomorrow evening.
A tonic?
Yes.
What is it?
Oh, I don't remember. Something in strychnine.
Strychnine?
Yes, he said it would give you an appetite.
Where have you been, Gil?
Oh, I've been riding. Nice moonlight night. Very pleasant.
Did Beverly enjoy it?
Yes, she's an excellent rider. I've decided to buy that filly from Thompson. Going over there tomorrow afternoon.
Is Beverly going with you?
Yes, she's a good judge of horseflesh. Why?
Nothing. I just asked.
Well?
Yes. Good night.
Lucia waits till she hears her husband turn out his light, then slips quickly to her door and quietly down the stairs to the library. With every beat of her pulse, she hears Gil's words.
Something in strychnine. Something in strychnine.
She snaps on the light and steps to the shelf holding the encyclopedia. She runs her fingers down the long line of books, LMNO, P to R. And then she stops and stares in terror. The S to T is missing. Lucia glances wildly about the room, and then she sees it. There on the desk, the missing volume, and open. She rushes to the desk and stares down at the open page.
Good Lord! It's true! It's true!
I'll tell you what, Beverly, I'll leave the deal entirely up to you.
Up to me? Oh, Gil, that's not fair.
Why not?
Well, suppose she turns out to be a lemon.
I don't think she will, because you're going to have the job of training her.
Oh, you certainly flatter me.
Not in the least. Oh. Good morning, Lucia.
I just realized what time it was. You'll be leaving in a few minutes.
Yes, it's 9 this very minute. I better step on it. More coffee, Beverly?
No, thanks.
How do you feel, Lucia?
Why, better. Much better.
You better eat something.
No, I can't.
At least some coffee.
Yes, I'll have some coffee.
I've got to run. See you later, Lucia.
Yes, Gil?
And I'll see you this afternoon at 2, Beverly.
Yes, I'll meet you in town at 2. Oh, Gil, don't forget Lucia's medicine.
I won't. Goodbye, Lucia.
Are you meeting Gil in town, Beverly?
Yes, he wants me to decide on that filly he's interested in.
Where did you learn so much about horses?
Well, it seems to be natural. Why don't you get interested in horses, Lucia?
Why should I?
What are you interested in?
Well, I'm interested in a few things. My husband in particular.
You don't act interested in anything.
Really?
If you'll take my advice, you'll snap out of this coma and get some pep.
If you like women with pep?
Well, no man cares about a woman who sits around and mopes. I think you're a hypochondriac.
Do you?
You should do something about it.
I intend to. I intend to do something about it.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Get out and do things. Play games, golf, tennis, swim, and ride. Maybe this medicine will fix you up.
You know all about it, do you? What is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's a tonic, a builder-upper.
I wish I could believe that.
At least you can try it. It won't hurt you.
No? I wonder. Oh, come in, Doctor.
Lucia, why did you call me out here? What's wrong?
I just couldn't make it into town.
Oh, it can't be as bad as that.
Did Gilbert talk to you about me yesterday?
Oh, I saw Gil for a few moments at the club during lunch. Said you were run down.
Did you give him a prescription for me?
I never do that until I've examined the patient.
You didn't give him a prescription.
Well, no.
What did you suggest for me?
Oh, I don't know. Just mentioned a few tonics he might get for you. Spoke of beef iron and wine and sherry and egg and I don't remember what else.
Then you mentioned nothing specifically.
Don't think so.
I see.
What seems to be wrong with you, Lucia?
I don't know exactly. Something has been happening to me that... Well, frankly, I'm afraid I'm losing my mind.
Oh, come now. We all feel that way at times.
I'm serious. Things happen to me in the night.
What sort of things?
First, I thought they were just nightmares. But when you have a nightmare, you wake up and the fear is gone. You realize the truth. This vision that comes to me haunts me through the waking hours as well.
Vision?
Something, I think it's a person, comes through my bedroom door. Approaches my bed with outstretched arms as though it intends to strangle me. Each time it comes a little closer. My fear is that eventually it will get to me before I wake up.
You always dream the same dream?
If it is a dream, yes.
Who is the person?
I don't know.
And you don't think it's really a dream?
No. I think it's a premonition.
Well, have you any basis for such a fear in real life? Is there someone or something that you're afraid of?
Doctor, I'm convinced that they're not dreams. That I'm not asleep.
Oh, nonsense.
I'm positive they're not mere dreams.
Well, I think it's all due to your rundown condition. You probably don't sleep as soundly as you should, and so you transfer sounds in the night to dreams, nightmares.
That's exactly what I mean. If I'm only half asleep, I may be transferring actual movements and sounds into dreams. In other words, if someone slams the door in the night, I may half hear it and attribute it to a dream.
Yeah, go on.
And perhaps I'm not dreaming.
I think you'd better come into town and have a thorough physical.
You mean a checkup by a psychiatrist?
Well, I may have someone to help me. It's the usual thing, you know.
Oh, Dr. Henry. I'm so frightened.
Now, everything's going to be all right.
I'm afraid that I'm going to die. That someone is trying to kill me.
You're not going to die. That's ridiculous.
I'll call you and make an appointment.
Very well. In the meantime, try not to think about it. Keep your mind on something on the brighter side.
Yes, I'll try.
Yes, try, Lucia. Try hard to keep your mind on something brighter. But you can't, can you? That awful gnawing of jealousy and fear occupy every moment.
Gil and Beverly, Gil and Beverly. How could they do such a thing? Then, as the afternoon fades and dusk sets in, there's a knock at Lucia's door.
Are you asleep, Lucia?
No, not asleep.
How are you feeling?
I seem to have developed a headache.
Have you eaten anything today?
No, I didn't care for anything.
Well, this will help him. Better take a dose now. I'll measure it for you.
What is it?
Why, it's the tonic.
Did Dr. Hanby prescribe it?
Well, yes. Yes, he did.
Where's Beverly?
Down in the library.
Did you buy the horse?
Yes, Beverly thought you was a fine animal.
I didn't know Beverly knew so much about horses.
She's a horsewoman after my own heart.
Is she?
Rides like the wind, too.
She had intended to go home tomorrow. She's staying on?
She's got to. I wouldn't think of her leaving now.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, she's going to train the horse.
And what else?
Why, nothing else. Here, take this. It's a little bitter, but you'll get used to it.
Gil!
Go ahead. It won't hurt you.
I don't want it.
And why not?
It has poison in it.
Well, I suppose it does have a little, yes, but only enough to act as a tonic.
I don't want it. I won't take it. I won't.
Are you going to act like a child? Take it and quit arguing.
I won't. I won't.
This is ridiculous. I tried to do anything for you, and you act like a spoiled kid.
I can't take it.
You're impossible, Lucia.
I'm afraid.
You need this medicine, but you're too confoundedly stubborn. You'd rather sit around and mope all day. Very well, there it is. You can take it or not. Just trying to help you pull out of this. Good night.
No, wait, Gil, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I don't care whether you do or not.
There, I've taken it. Terribly bitter.
And take another dose around 11.
Gil, where's Mrs. Benson?
Why, I told her she could have the night off. Thought she might like to spend the evening in town.
You let her off?
Yes, she's been sticking pretty close lately.
Oh, yes. Yes, she has. Good night.
Good night, Lucia.
What's wrong, Gil? You look upset.
I am. Lucia didn't want to take it.
No? Why not?
She's afraid of medicine.
What are you going to do?
She finally took a dose of it. If I know her at all, she'll never take another drop.
Well, she's got to take it, Gil. Got to figure out a way to make her take it.
It can't be disguised. It's too bitter.
Try something else.
I'll try and coax her into it again.
Isn't there something that tastes more pleasant, or something that you could put in milk or orange juice?
I don't know. Well, I'll find something.
Of course you will. You've got to.
I think Mrs. Benson is the cause of her dislike for medicine. She's keeping her upset. I'm going to let Mrs. Benson go for 2 or 3 days, and maybe something can be accomplished. I'll speak to her now. Well, Benson, what are you doing standing here in the dark?
I was just going upstairs to see if Mr. Durant wanted anything before I went out.
I see. Oh, by the way, I'm staying home for a couple of days, and I thought that since you've been staying so close to the job, you'd welcome a few days' leave.
Leave? Why, yes, but Mrs. Durant may prefer that I stay.
I think you'd better get a little rest yourself. You needn't come back till Friday.
But I don't need a rest.
You come back Friday.
Yes, very well, sir. I'll run up and see her before I go.
Come in. Oh, Benson. I thought you were going into town for the evening.
I'm leaving in a few minutes, but I had to see you.
I'm glad you came up. I've got to talk to someone. I know now they're not dreams. They are premonitions. And I know who's trying to kill me.
Who?
My husband and Beverly.
I know.
You know?
I just heard them talking low in the library. They were talking about the medicine. He said you were too stubborn and probably wouldn't take another dose. And she said he'd have to find some way to make you take it.
And it is poison. They want me out of the way. I got angry because I refused to take it.
Oh, yes, and there's something else. He just told me that he would not be going into town for several days and told me not to come back here till Friday.
Good Lord.
I'll go on into town as planned, but I'll slip back toward midnight and come up the back way.
And I won't take a thing that gets me.
I'll be back at midnight.
Thank you, Benson. Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
A few minutes before 12, Mrs. Benson returns to the mansion. No lights are burning, so she makes her way quietly through the back entrance, slips up the stairs, and taps lightly on Lucia's bedroom door.
Mrs. Durant. Mrs. Durant.
Then she turns the knob, opens the door, and snaps on the light.
Mrs. Durant, are you here?
Then Benson steps quickly toward the bed. The bed is empty, but a horrible sight meets her eyes.
Oh, blood. Blood all over the bed. They've done it. They've murdered her. Give me the police department.
All right, Mrs. Benson. What happened this evening?
Well, earlier in the evening, Mr. Durant told me I could have the night off, since I'd been staying close to Mrs. Durant for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, he said he decided to let me off until Friday. But I didn't want to go, and he insisted.
Is there anyone else in the house?
Yes, Mrs. Durant's half-sister, Beverly.
Did you leave the house?
Yes, but I went up and told Mrs. Durant I'd be back about midnight.
If you had till Friday, why did you come back at midnight?
Because we were both frightened.
Of what?
Well, Mrs. Durant had been having premonitions that someone was trying to kill her.
Who was trying to kill her?
She didn't know, but she was terribly frightened.
Is that all?
No. Her husband tried to get her to take some medicine he had brought home. She refused, and he got angry.
How do you know he was angry?
I heard him talking about it to Beverly. They were in the library, and he told Beverly that Lucia was very stubborn, and Beverly said that he'd have to think of some other way.
Did Mrs. Durant suspect her husband and Beverly of trying to do away with her?
Yes, she did. She was convinced that Mr. Durant and Beverly were in love and wanted her out of the way.
So you came back tonight because you anticipated that something was going to happen?
Yes. The house was dark, so I came up the back stairs, knocked on her door, and when I got no answer, I came in, turned on the lights, saw she was gone, and then I saw the bed all covered with blood. She wouldn't take the poison, so they did it another way. That's what they planned in the library.
Where are they now? Any idea?
Well, they didn't expect me back tonight, so they've probably gone to dispose of the body, intending to come back here and clean the place up later.
I see. Anybody else know about Mrs. Durant's fears?
Yes. She talked to Dr. Hanby. I called him right after phoning the police and told him about it. He knows.
Dr. Hanby, Captain Rick.
What in the world is the meaning of this?
From all indications, Mrs. Durant has been murdered and the body disposed of. Doctor, I understand Mrs. Durant told you that she was afraid that something was going to happen to her, that she was going to die.
Who told you that?
Mrs. Benson here.
I see. Well, she did call me in this morning. She'd been having strange dreams. Premonitions, she called them. I called them hallucinations.
Who did she think it was?
Well, she couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman, but someone was always approaching her bed with outstretched arms, trying to choke her.
Do you think it was more than a dream?
Well, she was a sort of hypochondriac. I asked her to come into town where I could give her a thorough examination. I didn't take her story too seriously, but, well, this certainly puts a different slant on the entire picture.
Yes, we haven't found the body. I have men out searching now. We'll find it.
Well, here's Mr. Durant and his sister-in-law. They found him about a half mile down the beach.
How are you, Durant?
What in the world goes on here? Oh, what's wrong, Doctor?
Take a look at that bed.
Good Lord, what's happened? Lucia, where is she?
We thought you could enlighten us on that point.
What do you mean? Is she dead? Where is she?
Gil.
Beverly, give us some water. She'll be all right in a minute.
But what's happened?
We think your wife has been murdered.
Murdered? Why, what are you doing here, Mrs. Benson? I thought you were gone till Friday.
Why did you tell her to go until Friday?
Why, I thought she needed a rest. She's been having long hours. Where is Lucia?
Where have you and your sister-in-law been?
Why, I slept upstairs and saw Lucia was asleep, so we decided to take a little ride down the beach. It was still early.
Didn't take anything with you?
Certainly not.
What do you mean by that? What would we take?
I don't know. I just asked. Did you two try to get Lucia to take some medicine?
No.
Wait a minute, Beverly. That won't do any good. Yes, we did. She was run down and needed a tonic, but she refused to take medicine.
Why did she refuse?
I don't know.
Maybe she was afraid of being poisoned.
That's ridiculous. Why should I want to poison her? I loved Lucia.
How long has your sister-in-law Beverly been here with you?
Why, I don't know. It's quite some time.
Just a minute. Are you inferring that Gil and
I'm not inferring anything. I'm merely asking questions.
Well, whoever suggested such a thing is lying. Why, Gil and Lucia...
Just a moment, Beverly. Mrs. Benson, what have you been saying? What did you tell them?
I told them the truth.
You think I planned to kill Lucia? Is that it?
Yes, you and this woman.
Why, that's ridiculous.
You tried to get her to take some medicine. She knew you were in love with her sister, and you were trying to poison her.
When did she come to that conclusion?
She had premonition.
That means nothing.
And besides, I heard you talking, you and Beverly, planning the whole thing.
What?
She's out of her mind.
I heard you, I tell you. When you realized Lucia wouldn't take the medicine, Beverly said you'd have to think of some other way.
Some other way to what?
To get rid of her. What else?
This is the most amazing thing I ever heard of. Dr. Hanby, you know better than this. Do you think I had a reason back of wanting to know about various medicines?
No, I didn't. Not at the time, but now...
Now what?
Well, I'm sorry to say it all adds up to something suspicious. Seems more than just coincidental.
Do you think I killed Lucia?
Well, look about you. Look at the room. What else am I to think?
What was the tonic you tried to give your wife?
It had strychnine in it.
That right, Durant?
Why, yes. It was one of the things Dr. Hanby mentioned. It was iron, quinine, and strychnine.
Did you mention that, Doctor?
Well, I suppose I did. It's a commonly known tonic.
Did you add anything else to it, Durant?
Certainly not.
How about it, Sergeant? What's the report?
Why, the bottle contained iron, quinine, and strychnine, and a heavy content of arsenic.
Arsenic? But it isn't possible. I put nothing in it. Where would I get arsenic?
Well, it was in there just the same.
Good Lord, Doctor, it isn't true. You know it isn't.
I hate to say it, Gil, but the evidence looks bad for you.
Benson knows what all this is about. She's lying. She knows Gil wouldn't do such a thing. She's back of it all.
Why?
I don't know, but believe me, I'll find out if I have...
That'll do. Under the circumstances, I think you'd all better come down to headquarters so we can keep you separated. Come on. And no more talking.
48 hours pass. Hours of relentless grilling, endless questioning. Finally, Gil and Beverly are released on a writ of habeas corpus. Now weeks have gone by, and Lucia's body has not been discovered, and so the district attorney is forced to make a public announcement that in spite of the apparent evidence, no murder charges can be preferred against Gil and Beverly due to lack of corpus delicti, the failure to produce Lucia's body. Now Beverly and Gil are in the library.
Beverly, I want you to know how wonderful I think you've been, the way you've stuck right beside me through this thing. I know it's been a trial for you, and, well, you're one girl in a million.
Thanks, Gil, but it isn't over yet. They won't stop their search for Lucia's body, and if they find it, we haven't a chance.
I know, but what can we do about it?
Well, why couldn't we leave the country?
Together?
Not necessarily. They'd be sure to follow us. We could go separately in different ways
And meet someplace later on? Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
That seems a bit mad. That would equal an out-and-out confession.
But, Gil, if they find Lucia's body, we haven't a chance. It's too strong against us.
We never could come back, Beverly.
Oh, what of it? I don't want to die, Gil, and I don't want anything to happen to you.
Beverly, I don't know what to say.
I'm frightened, Gil. I can't stay here with such horrible fear hanging over me. I'll go mad. If you don't go, then I will. I'll leave tonight.
Please, Beverly, I need you more than ever now. Please don't go.
Don't worry, Gilbert. She won't leave you.
Lucia.
Good Lord.
I won't let her leave you. I'll see that you both go together. And stay together for a long, long time.
Lucia, what does this mean? We thought you were dead.
Disappointed, are you?
Where have you been?
What happened to you? Coming to that. You thought I was dead. Well, I'm not. I'm live enough to pull this trigger. I've been behind those drapes, and I heard every word you said. Now I know you're in love with each other. Now I know you wanted to do away with me.
In love? With Beverly?
From the day she came here. She took you away from me.
I did not.
We never thought of such a thing, never.
It never entered my mind.
Why do you lie about it? You do love her. Why don't you admit it?
I love Beverly?
Yes.
You certainly have a vicious mind, Lucia. For the first time, I see you for what you really are. I never even thought of such a thing. But now that you mention it, I realize the truth. Yes, I do love Beverly.
Gil, don't.
Why shouldn't I? And it's Lucia's fault. She's the cause of it. A suspicious-minded devil. She let her imagination run away with her. She built this thing up, and now it's boomeranged on her. Oh, what a mess you've made of things, Lucia.
You mean you and Beverly, they didn't plan?
Certainly not. You must have been out of your mind.
Oh, Gil. Gil. I thought... I was sure. Oh, Gil.
I'm sorry, Lucia, but that's the way it is. And you've no one to blame but your own miserable self.
No one to blame but her own miserable, jealous, suspicious-minded self. Lucia planned the whole thing from the beginning. She thought they were in love, thought they were planning to kill her. Lucia never had a dream, never had a premonition. She planted that in the housekeeper's mind and in the doctor's. She put the rat poison in the tonic. She put the bedroom in disorder, cut herself of smeared blood on the bed, and then disappeared. But when she read that they couldn't bring a murder charge without the body, she came back to kill Gil and Beverly herself. You see, Lucia didn't know about that little article in the law called Corpus Delicti.
CBS has presented The Whistler. Original music for this production was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Whistler is written by and directed by J. Donald Wilson and originates from Columbia Square in Hollywood. Next Sunday, 9:15,
I, the Whistler, will return to tell you the eerie tale of Back from Beyond. Good night.
this is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.